will be showing the Wales against England international on Sunday, June the 12th. So plenty to look forward to as far as the international game goes. Plenty to look forward to as well over the coming weeks as far as Women's Super League goes. The season kicked off last week. Wins for both York City Knights and St Helens. So two of the unbeaten sides in these early stages of the competition coming up together this afternoon. Let's have a look at the team sheet, see how the sides line up. We will start off with York City Knights. Not at full strength this afternoon, as you heard Lindsay Anfield say. Georgia Taylor comes in on the wing. She's in place of the injured Kelsey Gentles. Liv Gill continues her partnership at half-back with Georgie Hetherington. And Tamsin Renouf is back in at centre after missing last week's win against Huddersfield. So for St Helens this afternoon, Emily Rudd, she is back in the starting lineup, the England captain. That means that Paige Travis drops onto the bench for Saints. Shona Hoyle makes her first start after signing from Huddersfield last month. And Rachel Woozy stays in the centres with Carrie Roberts out injured. So that's how the sides line up this afternoon. Yes, players may be missing for both York City Knights and St Helens, but Faye Gaskell alongside me. Still two decent sides turning out this afternoon.
Yeah, and you can see that from the start of the season, both with big wins in their first game, but two decent sides, two excellent middles, probably two of the middles in the game. They're looking for them England shirts. You've got girls who haven't got England shirts just yet and fighting for that, so it'll be an outstanding game today. Looking through the teams at matchups, Rebecca Rotherham has been in some good form at fullback. We see her there just warming up for St Helens. And Tara Stanley for York City Knights. What can we say about Tara Stanley? Oh, Tara's been on phenomenal form, and we've seen that in the semi-final of the Challenge Cup. Unfortunately, the game didn't go her or her team's way, but Tara's been an outstanding player from a very young age, and Tara and Rebecca both played together at Thato, so that's quite a nice battle today. But yeah, Bex has been in top form too. She's keeping pushing, she's learning each week, so it'll be a great game for both of them today. And looking at the half-back, Zoe Harris and Jodie Cunningham for Saints, a lot of experience in there against Georgie Hetherington and Liv Gale, who's just 18 for York City Knights. That'll be a learning curve. Yeah, a real learning curve, but it's about the younger generation stepping up into them WSL shirts and trying to take them off them experienced players. You've got Jodie Cunningham, who's such a utility player. She can play in pretty much any position on the field, and that's who the girls should inspire to be. They want to be as good as her, and a great pairing for the halves at York. They've played well all season, so it'll be interesting to see the matchups. But yeah, Jodie and Zoe today with lots more experience. An interesting move, I think, in the York City Knights lineup. Savannah Andrade, who of course is part of the England performance unit, made a name at centre. She's in the second row today for York. Yeah, for me, centre and second row, you should be adaptable. You should be able to do that. You look at centres in the game now, whether it's in the WSL or the Men's Super League, and they're pretty similar in size and stature for second row. So it'd be interesting to see how Savannah goes today. I'm sure she'll be looking to get her hands on the ball quite early and settle herself into the game. Well, both these sides, as I've mentioned, had wins last week. York City Knights getting the season off with a 50-6 win against Huddersfield. Saints with a 44-0 win against Wigan. Wigan still missing some of their more established England internationals basically in their squad. I think we've probably still got to see the best to come yet from Wigan this season. But York City Knights against St Helens, a restructured Women's Super League this year to throw up more of these kinds of games. Yeah, and for me it's the right call. It's very similar to how the NRLW do it. They had just 4 teams, and we've gone with 5. Castleford dropping into that second WSL 2, but you want the competitive game. Not just want them, we need it. We need that for our sport. You don't want to see 80 points to nil run-ins each week. Nobody enjoys that, whether you're the winning team or unfortunately the losing team. But we need this as the women's game in order to grow, to get fans in. Fans want to come and watch a 22 points to 20 game. That's the excitement. So for me, this is the right structure. I think the RFL have done really well to structure it like this. Well, as you can see, a crowd starting to gather already here at the LNER Community Stadium. I know St Helens has got a nice core of fans that follow the women's team around the country, but the Knights this year, York City Knights, trying to get the women's game on with double headers with the men's, and it looks like it's paying off. There's quite a bit of amber and black in that stand. Yeah, and double headers are great, and I think I read some stuff on social media about the women should have a standalone game, but unfortunately we just don't have that crowd yet, and for me this is how we learn to grow. row. We done a lap of honour with our Challenge Cup at Saints 2 weeks ago, and there was thousands in the stadium. And I remember saying to Jodie, if just 10% of these turn up, that's 1,000 people for us, and that's what we need. The double header, it allows the fans to get in early. It allows the fans to see this talent who don't normally tune in, I don't know, on the Sportsman or online. But yeah, for me, double headers, I think it's great. It's great for the women's game, and this is what we want.
And we've saw scenes, I think, certainly at St Helens, certainly after the Challenge Cup final as well, and at Leeds on Friday night. As players, the women in their own right are becoming stars. We've got the younger members of the crowd looking for autographs, and it's wonderful to see it developing like that.
Yeah, it's really special, and as players who we started off just at grassroots, and there was no room for girls in rugby league, and now actually we're taking that top stand, and the young kid comes over and you walk around the park and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Amy Hardcastle, can I have my picture with you? And my niece who's 4 started playing rugby, and Amy Hardcastle is like God to her. So it's great to see that. You want the young Georgia Roaches coming through the system, the Tara Stanleys, you want to see that, and that's how we see it when we come to the stand.
So York City Knights taking to the field, led by their captain Sinead Peach. Just waiting for St Helens to join York out on the pitch, and this second round of this season's Women's Super League will get underway here at the LNER Community Stadium in York. A home tie for York, their first home game of the season. Plenty of tries from both of these sides as the Challenge Cup competition went on, as St Helens now come out onto the field as well. Of course, Jodie Cunningham, the captain, leading her players out for this afternoon. And while one or two of the stars, the bigger names maybe might be missing, as I've mentioned, for both sides, thinking Kelsey Gentle certainly a crowd pleaser on the wing as far as York is concerned. This will be a really interesting matchup, I think, as the afternoon goes on. Even if it's maybe not quite as close a scoreline as the game progresses, just to see what these players have in them early in the season. Yeah, absolutely. And I know Kelsey will be devastated to miss out on these. These are the big games you want to play in, and with internationals coming up, just literally in two weeks' time, the players want to be playing in these. You need that matchup to see then who you're going to compete against for that England shirt. Well, the referee, Ryan Cox, just overseeing the 13 seconds as part of the RFL's Tackle It campaign to show there's no room for discrimination in the sport or society. And we will get things started with St Helens to take the kick-off. St Helens in the away kit of black. York City Knights with the amber and black shirts and the black shorts. And Zoe Harris gets this one started in the second round of the Women's Super League, taken by Hetherington for York City Knights. Early yardage there for the Knights. A deep kick-off coming for Zoe Harris. And there's Jazz Bell. She's been influential for the Knights since signing from Castleford in the close season. Certainly makes plenty of yards every time she gets hold of that ball. Go, Sue. Peach again. She's got Field as the runner. Good strong run from the forward. Good defence as well coming in from St Helens. Still letting each other know they're on the pitch. Shona Hoyle there in defence, the new signing for St Helens. Sat basically in the stand for a while after signing because she was cup-tied. Couldn't feature for St Helens any earlier than last week for that opening game in the Super League. A try scorer on a debut as well, as York go driving forward once more, taking play inside the St Helens half of the field. Ryan Cox raises his arm. This will be the last of the set. And it's back to Stanley for the kick. And that'll be a bit of a tester. Oh, there's a mistake. This could be a chance for York City Knights. The ball's going really loose. It's picked up by, who knows who it's picked up there. I think St Helens finally getting a hand to it in the end, but early threat there from York. Yeah, a really good set from York there coming out of their own half, and you see the powerful forwards with the hands on the ball. Jazz Bell, Gracefield with 2 drives in that set, and an outstanding kick from Tara Stanley, as you can see here. And Ebony just timed it a little bit wrong there, but good cover from Amy Hardcastle and Becca Rotherham to clean it up. Good chase coming through as well, out on that far side for York City Knights from Liv Whitehead, one of the younger players in the York squad, as St Helens now try and progress upfield. For the foot. 6 again, the referee just wiping the tackle count clean. And it's Rudge, I think, there that takes the ball in for Saints. St Helens, of course, the current champions of Women's Super League, winning the grand final last year against Leeds, and that was a big hit coming there from the York defence. Certainly letting Emily Rudge know that defence is there and keeping an eye on her, because she can be so influential. Cunningham with the ball now for Saints to Crowell. Crowell is brought down. When you get Cunningham and Rudge linking up together, it makes such a difference there, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, massive difference, and it's a reckon with. You don't really know how to defend it because Jodie also backs herself quite a lot. She is a ball player who will take on the line, but yeah, to have Rudge back in the side is great, and great competition as well. You see Paige Travis dropping to the bench today, which you wouldn't expect, and you've got to fight for that shirt now at St Helens. You're not guaranteed a shirt.
So Crowell gets to her feet to play the ball on the last for St Helens. It goes back to Harris. What can she do? The kick comes long downfield. Stanley is underneath it, takes it cleanly for York City Knights, and Stanley comes away from her own line and gets outside the 20 as well. It's almost like a game of chess, these early stages, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the tough part. This is the team who plays the most composed will score the first points, but a great end to the set from Saints, but we've just got to avoid Tara Stanley. She can field a kick from anywhere, and you don't want to get her with a gap in the defence, but Saints have more muscle up in defence here.
So York with the ball then, trying to edge their way downfield again. Gracefield driving through. Another player as part of the England performance unit. And we see them right across the park this afternoon, both for York City Knights and St Helens. Peach again shows a bit of a dummy. She's got support. Offloads nicely there to Gail. Gail's brought down. This is the last of the set. And it goes once again to Peach, who finds Stanley. Will a kick come in? It will. Drifting out wide, quite a still afternoon. So, and again a mistake coming in on the far side from Ebony Partington, not able to take that ball. This will set York City Knights up nicely, and I think the Knights there potentially spotting a weakness on that left-hand side for Saints. Yeah,
Tara Stanley with another explosive kick on that last tackle, a left-footed kicker, and as you can see here, it hangs, the hang time, and I think just a little bit of a mix-up between Amy and Ebony there, and just has to be that dominant call, but we know what the threat Tara Stanley brings with her kicking game, so we've got to sort that out as a team now.
So what threat can York City Knights bring with ball in hand coming up towards that danger area in the Saints half of the field? Holly Dodd, the teenager, another new signing for York City Knights from Castleford. A quick play, the ball for York, keeping it moving. Out wide, that's going to go into space, though. Perhaps a little lack of communication on the left to Georgia Taylor on the wing, and York's chance just goes begging.
Yeah, they had a real strong run from Holly Dodd there. She's a phenomenal athlete. She's really come into her game since debuting at Cass and then moving over to York. She's a great player, but as you can see here, if Gracefield just needs to stay a bit composed. That pass wasn't really on. Leah Burke had her player one-to-one, but Grace just back herself. She's a really strong athlete, and Saints were having to scramble there.
The space was there out wide, it's just the play wasn't at the same point as where the pass was going, was it? As simple as that in the end. So a penalty, the first penalty of the game, awarded to St Helens. And this will give them the chance to get a little further downfield with some easy yards. Zoe Harris kicks for touch.
You always say easy yards, but someone always misses touch.
Do you know,
to be careful.
I was going to say, for a second, I didn't think that had made touch at all. You almost took the words out of my mouth, but it did. It went straight into the crowd, and it was all fine. But if it finds touch, it's easy yards, isn't it? You're giving away your territory. But you're right. It's like talking out a goal kicker, isn't it? Of an easy one straight in front of the post. Backheel it over with your eyes shut, and the miss completely. But St Helens then in possession. Still. Two teams finding out about each other in these opening stages. Just incidentally, the clock you can see on your screen is just for guidance. It's the referee keeping the time this afternoon. So the clock you can see on the screen is just for guidance as to where we are in this game. But we do know that not a lot of time has gone so far as Amy Hardcastle comes through for St Helens, taking the pass from Jodie Cunningham. Tara Jones at hooker for St Helens. There's Cunningham again, keeping it moving. Emily Rudge, she's got support out on the far side. Good defence coming in from York City Knights, taking the players straight into touch. Good work out wide from York in defence.
Yeah, great defence there from York, and they've really muscled up so far. You can see there was a great shot on Em Rudge earlier on and another great shot on Isabel, but a nice tip on from Rudge there, but a great over tackle to get Ebony into touch, and Saints will start getting frustrated with that, but full raps to York for that outstanding set.
Liv Whitehead with the tackle. She's come in on the wing. She's just 19, and she's made a bit of an impact at the Knights this season. She's got an eye for an interception. Twice she's scored, and twice have both been near length of the field interceptions as well that she's done it for York. So it's the Knights with that possession, with Jazz Bell. Great effort coming in there from Emily Rudge. Great strength from the England captain on the York City Knights forward. Peach just urging a little bit of a quicker play of the ball. as Holly Dodd goes driving in. You were saying earlier, Faye, you're looking for a big game today for Holly Dodd.
Yeah, I think she's a phenomenal athlete, and it's great to see her in that EPU squad, but sometimes it's a hit and miss with Holly. But I think the form she's been on in the last 2 or 3 games, I've watched quite a lot of her highlights, and she's finding the gaps in that defence, and I'm looking forward to seeing her get her hands on the ball more, because she can cause danger.
Grace Field getting through a lot of work for York City Knights so far this afternoon. And at in half again is Peach. She has that support from Gale, who finds Dodd. Dodd tries to run on the angle. It's read by the St Helens defence, and the tackle comes in. Peach once more goes again on the short side. Has she got numbers? She tries to go herself. Can't quite manage it. Brought down just short of that line, and this is the last of the set. Gale goes to Stanley. What can Stanley do? Chip off the outside of her foot, bounces off the post. Picked up well by Rotherham. St Helens have possession.
Yeah, great end to the set there, and another tricky kick from Tara, and a follow-up from that, making that tackle there. And York have really stepped up this half now, and I know Saints will be trying to earn the yardage out of that danger zone.
Well, St Helens defence has been outstanding so far this season, Challenge Cup included. They've conceded just 1 try, and that was in the final from Leeds' Zoe Hornby. Didn't concede anything last week and hadn't conceded anything before that either, so their defence has really stood up quite nicely so far this year. They will have some tough tests, of course, though, as this season goes on. But they're in possession now are the champions, and it's Zoe Harris with the kick long downfield. Taylor's there, so is Stanley. That will be Taylor's ball if she can get to it. Left that a little bit too long, did very well there, Taylor. For all the world, her foot was going into touch. Yeah,
she done outstanding to field that kick there, but a great kick from Zoe. I think she was looking for a 40-20 there, but a great read again. Stanley and Taylor both in the right position to take that ball back in.
So Stanley with that possession for York. Peach to Renouf. Renouf goes in. Renouf, of course, a player who looked like she'd won it for the Knights in the Challenge Cup semi-final, only to have a try pulled back for a forward pass. And York now making progress into the St Helens half of the field. There's Liv Gale playing at prop this afternoon for York, usually in the second row. This is the last of the set. It's Peach to Stanley. Stanley always looking dangerous with ball in hand. Puts the kick up. Again, a tester for Partington. This time she takes it. This time as well, a penalty is awarded. York offside.
Yeah, a great take from Ebony there. She knows she's going to have a target on her back now from Tara Stanley with the kicks, but earns a penalty for a team. Offside from York, so a great take from Ebony.
And that will do a confidence good as well. 2 or 3 drop balls early on. It must just get inside your head.
Yeah, it does. It's tough once you've made that first error, because you know you are targeted, but she'll come back into a game. It's a great hanging kick again from Tara, and a great take under pressure.
Back on. So St Helens with the ball coming away from inside their own 20 after that penalty, just giving them a little bit of extra territory. Good defence coming through. Savannah Andrade getting involved there in the tackle as well, as mentioned earlier. Not in the centres this afternoon, in the second row for York City Knights. There's Crowell. Crowell looking for the offload. The defence does its job. She can't get that ball out. What a tussle there as well, as Jones goes to sell from in half. Great defence again coming in from field for York City Knights. This is good work in defence from York. What can St Helens do to try and crack it? Here's Shona Hoyle taking that ball in. Little pass offloads to Rudge. Rudge is driven back into the ground there by the Knights. That got the crowd involved in that one as well. A cheer coming from the far side. Here's Jones to Harris. Harris shows it, goes, clearly goes. She's broken through. She's got the support from Williams as well. She's just got Stanley to beat. What a dummy from Zoe Harris. Zoe Harris, will she get that ball for the opening try? What work she's got to do. What defence from York City Knights. Absolutely incredible. This is the last of the set for St Helens. Here's Jones, goes wide. And there's the try for Leah Burke. The referee just checks, has she got that ball down? She has. It's awarded. Saints get there eventually.
That's outstanding from Saints there, but full raps to York for that scramble defence. So unfortunate for Zoe not to finish that try herself, but great. She backs herself, she goes at the line, she threw that dummy. But yeah, great try, great team try at the end for Saints, and great for Burke to get in at the corner.
And when that break came from Zoe Harris, the dummy, the pace of it, great work from the halfback that really set it up.
Yeah, it was outstanding, and Zoe had players on each side there, so it's more difficult from the defence. But as you can see here, Jodie steps into dummy half, quick tip onto Tara Jones, face pass across to Leah Burke, and a try in the corner. Unfortunately for York though, they tried hard to get underneath the ball, but again, just nice and simple from Tara, just a long pass across, steps back in from Leah. Unfortunate for Tara Stanley not to hold her up there, but a great try, great finish from Leah.
So St Helens, out of nothing, they're really creating that try. Good work from Zoe Harris to start with to set up the territory. And let's see how successful she'll be this afternoon with the boot. Quite an angle to come from Zoe Harris to try and add the extras. She had the kicking duties last week for Saints in that win against Wigan. 6 goals she managed to convert last week. Will she get things off the mark this week for St Helens? Just prepares herself. A hush almost falls across the LNER Community Stadium as we wait for this conversion attempt. She takes her time thinking about it, doesn't she? And here we go. And that looks good.
Oh.
And it is good. A post helped her, but that's good. 6 points to 0 then. St Helens get themselves off the mark. And St Helens get the first blood.
Yeah, a great start from both teams. It's been a really physical contact. But as you can see, Zoe makes the break, and then it's a quick play the ball from Tara just across to Burke there, and Leah finishes nicely in the corner, and a great conversion from the touchline for Zoe. So let's see what York City Knights can do in response, as Tara Stanley prepares to get things going again. 6-0 St Helens then lead.
On you, Tara.
The pressure's been coming from York City Knights, but that clean breakthrough from Zoe Harris really getting things started for St Helens, and that will have been a settler for them.
Yeah, it would, and as a defensive side, it's really hard to regroup after such a big break. It was a 50-60 metre break, and the defence is everywhere, but for Saints, you're on the front foot then, so we ended up with a lot more attackers down in the York half than they had defence. But yeah, you need that settle, and after 14-15 minutes, that's what Saints needed.
So here we go with Jones for St Helens to Crowell. Crowell meets the wall of Liv Wood. Helped out by Peach as well in there, and Savannah Andrade. Lindsay Anfield was telling me Savannah Andrade has been moved into the second row just to try and get her a little bit more involved in the game. She feels she just needs that bit more involvement than maybe what she was getting in the centres. So we'll see how that works out this afternoon as Shona Hoyle knocks that ball on. Not happy with that decision there, Shona Hoyle.
No, Shona will be frustrated with that. She doesn't often carry a lot of errors, but she'll regroup, she'll keep her head in, and as you can see, great defence again from Gracefield, under the ball straight away and turns. Unfortunately, the ball just comes out. I think as a ball carrier, you have the right to keep that safe, and you've got to respect that. So a bit frustrating for Shona, but she'll come back from that.
Holly Dodd then, first of the set for York City Knights. Field organises again from Acton half to Andrade. Andrade gets around Rotherham, tries to get past Harris. She can't. Harris doing just enough to let her teammates come in and assist with that tackle. Burke and Crowell also involved there. Sorry, Rudge and Crowell involved with that tackle. So York City Knights inside that 20-metre area now. Can they produce something special and crack that St Helens defence? Tara Stanley tries to pick up the pace, an injection of pace coming from Stanley, but she can't get around that defence, who properly gets stuck in there and wrestles her, but manages eventually to get the ball out to Tamsin Renouf. Renouf keeps it alive to Hetherington. Great work coming in from Shona Hoyle. Hoyle combining there, and the tackle is completed. She's not happy, Hoyle, and she's certainly letting people know about it, I think. There's Tara Stanley again for York City Knights, out in the far side, looking for the corner. The tackle comes in. And again, it's Peach. Peach puts the kick in. Gracefield's chasing it. Gracefield gets there. York City Knights hit back, and it's the prop forward who scores.
That's outstanding from York City Knights there, and you could see the build up to that. Gracefield had a hand up to let Sinead Peach know that she was ready to take that dribble through, and Sinead's got a great kick and boot close to the line, and it's really hard to defend that as a defensive line, but a great dribble through, but a great finish from Gracefield with a bobbling ball. As you can see here, Sinead jumps out, dribbles it nice through, and Grace just finishes it off. that equally is what York wants, not what St Helens wants, but a great finish here from Grace Field.
Just outpacing Rebecca Rotherham coming through in defence there, but Peach put the ball beautifully into space.
Oh yeah, it was perfect. It was pitch perfect. You could see, as I said, the build up to that. Grace had her hand up to let Sinead know, so she was already running Grace before the kick happened, which obviously with momentum taking it, it makes it easier to score right under the sticks to make the conversion easier for Tara.
Well, you don't see that very often. The mascot has just handed the ball to Tara Stanley to take the conversion. Norris the Knight is the York City Knights mascot, and he's certainly earning his money this afternoon by the looks of things. So Tara Stanley with the conversion, another player on this field who is certainly handy with the boot. A very good kicking record has the York City Knights fullback. She's kicked goals all over the park for England, and she's done it similarly this season as well for York City Knights. And this one to try to level the scores. As again, the hush falls across the LNER Community Stadium. As Stanley comes in and makes it good. We're all square. And if we were hoping for a tight game, so far, so good, Faye.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we discussed before, this is what you want to see in WSL. This is the games we play for. But yeah, both teams being outstanding in defence. I think the middles have played a massive game. I think Olivia Wood and Jazz Bell have been outstanding for York in the middles, equally as Shani Crowell and Shona Hoyle. So it's coming from the middles, the work. It's a very middles game. But both teams with a try on the scoreboard now, I think this is when it'll start getting interesting.
So the kick-off comes again down into the York City Knights half of the field. Oh, a bit of a stumble there from Holly Dodd. I think she did well to hang on to that. And the charge forward comes. Strong running in the early stages of the set for York City Knights. Peach again to Andrade. Andrade driving through. That just a second try, incidentally, that St Helens have conceded this season. That's a great record. But at the same time, Faye, that defensive line needs to be tested.
Yeah, of course it doesn't. I think no matter who you speak to at our club, defence is something we pride ourselves on. We want to have the best defensive record because ultimately defence wins games, and we do need to be tested, and these are the games what we're going to get tested in. Them top games are what we want, but the girls will be frustrated with that. The girls will be really frustrated, but they'll club back together, and I'm sure they'll pick up from that.
Dodd again, Dodd with half a break for York, and she's got support again, and it's Field that's in there. Great defence coming through from St Helens. Grace Field having a great time so far in this game for York City Knights. But the Knights on the last with Holly Dodd. Will that go down? Good work coming in from Non Williams. Dodd doing her best to get that ball out there, but good effort from St Helens defence, just stopping it. There's a few little creaks and cracks, I think, starting to come here.
Yeah, a great half break there from Grace Field coming off the back of Holly Dodd. And Holly Dodd is explosive. She makes that pass early, and Leah Burke with a great cover tackle there to take Field down. But the cracks are starting to show, and I think people are getting tired now. It's been 20 minutes. That's such an intense game, but we've got to be better now in defence, and I'm sure that's what we'll pick up.
We've seen St Helens come from behind in a game this season. It was the Challenge Cup final, and they came from behind with a bit of style as well on that day, so plenty still to be sorted out here this afternoon in this one, in this second round match in the Women's Super League. St Helens, the ball goes to Whitfield on off the bench. Good drive from the strong forward. This will be the last of the set for St Helens. It's Jones, it goes to Harris. Harris with the kick again downfield. That just turns Tara Stanley. Has to backpedal a bit there, giving chance, of course, for the defence to come up and push York back even further down the field. A good kick in the end coming through there from Zoe Harris.
Yeah, they're the kicks we need, the ones what turn Tara Stanley around. Like I said before, if she takes that ball on the full, she's going to cause danger, but she's had to run back 20 metres, which then makes our line move up quite, not even quick really. It can go slow as long as we're in unity and with each other, but yeah, a great kick there from Zoe Harris.
And it's left York with some work to do now as well. Some good defence from St Helens in the early stages of the set. York still inside their 30-metre area.
Keep coming here, keep coming. Hold.
Peach will go to act in half behind Renouf. And she takes it herself. She's got the runner on her right-hand side of Wood.
Move! All the way, hold me.
Liv Wood is a great player. I think she's someone who probably goes unnoticed quite a bit, but the work what she's got through in the first 21 minutes has been outstanding. So full raps to her. What a great player, and one to keep watching for the future.
Well, the kick downfield goes out on the full, so that will benefit St Helens. But yeah, I think you're right about Liv Wood. She looks stronger this season than she did last for me as well. She looks like she's bulked up. She's got more of the strength in her body somehow. Yeah,
and that's probably full raps to York City Knights and their strength and conditioning coach. And I've watched them for the first 22 minutes, and the defence has been solid. So they've obviously really focused on that since Lindsay Anfield's come into play, and the strength and conditioning and the gym stuff. And now they're affiliated, and the clubs back them. And equally with any club in the WSL, you're going to get that strength and conditioning coaching, and you're gonna grow. You need to, and you need some size to compete against some of these girls.
So the ball comes out from the tackle on Emily Rudge. The referee says it was ripped, so that's a penalty to Saints. Tara Jones' kick just edging York a little further towards that St Helens towards that York corner. Just waiting again for a ball to come back onto the pitch. A little slow. There's only one mascot, you see. That's the problem, isn't it? You can't be everywhere all at once. So St Helens with that possession now, pushing that York line 10 metres away from that try line. Jones just assesses her options. She looks to the right and goes to the right and finds Harris. Again, a bit of a show and go from the half-back to Cunningham. Cunningham, she's got support to Woozy. Is Woozy going to go in? Woozy is. Can she get that ball down, though? No. Again, great work from the York City Knights defence.
Outstanding scramble defence from York City Knights, and you can see Kershaw getting herself under the ball, and that's what she needed to do there. Woozy's a really powerful athlete, and that was a great scramble defence.
But Saints still with the pressure. On off the bench, Paige Travis. She's been in some fine form so far this season, making a real difference for St Helens from the second row. Here's Jones, offloads the ball to Birchall. Birchall is brought down, still trying to crack that York line. Jones again, just again, urging the players to get up, to get on with it, to play that ball, get a bit of pace, bit of momentum. It's Crowell to Cunningham. Cunningham keeps it moving, almost half a gap there for St Helens. Can't quite exploit it. This is the last of the set. Here's Jones again. Good ball, Cunningham. Cunningham, nice step. Offload again, keeps it moving to Harris. Harris goes through. The referee right on the spot again, held up. Great defence once more from the Knights.
Yeah, it is, and like we discussed before about the Knights' defence, there's obviously been some clear change within their training schedule because the defence has been outstanding. 2 try-saving tackles in the same set, and Zoe Harris backs herself again, and you can see the Savannah Andre getting right under the ball, and you spoke about how she's wanting to be more involved, and I think this game for her has been one of her top games. She's been involved in each set with her drives, but a try-saving tackle there for her, so full raps to her.
And here we go again then with Liv Wood for York City Knights. 2. A lot of work having to be done by both of these defences so far in this game. It will be a test of, as you say, Faye, strength, conditioning, fitness. It's not particularly warm today at the stadium, but it's not cold either, is it? It will take it out of the girls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the girls are probably thinking they're playing in about 30-degree heat there. And the Saints giving away a penalty there to York. And is fatigue playing a part now? It's been a really intense 20-25 minutes. But this is what we need. This is what we need leading into a World Cup at the end of the year and leading into a grand final, because you're not going to get a walkover each game. And as you can see here, it's been a really tough test for both teams.
So the high tackle on Daisy Sanderson, giving the penalty to York City Knights. And the Knights just trot upfield to get things going inside the Saints half. It is still all square after roughly 25 minutes because, as I've mentioned before, the clock on your screen is there just for guidance. The referee is keeping time this afternoon, and it's Andrade, the player who was underneath in that tackle to stop Saints from grounding the ball, taking it through for York City Knights. Liv Wood again, looked like she was going to offload. In the end, waiting for the battle with Crowell in the tackle, had a bit of a tussle there with her. Certainly didn't take a backward step with that one, either of the players. Driving through, Tilly Butler, another one of the new additions to York City Knights, signed after a trial in the closed season. She's an Army lieutenant. So here's Peach again. It's Stanley. Stanley again. Long looping ball out wide. It's picked up eventually by York City Knights, but the pass has gone forward. So Liv Whitehead tackled into touch anyway, but the ball to St Helens.
I think as soon as Stanley gets her hands on the ball there, unfortunately it was forward, she becomes more of a threat to the defensive line. She is a massive threat coming out the back, but when she's got her hands on the ball, especially with her left foot step, it's hard for any team to defend against her really. And Saints, they were numbered up, and we went for York went for the long pass and it didn't come off, but Saints have got to read Tara a bit better now and limit her from the game.
It's interesting how the Knights, when Tara Stanley is in possession, are attacking down that side, which you would look at it and go, that's Amy Hardcastle's side, what are they doing? But,
yeah.
But they're still going for it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it is tough to attack against Amy Hardcastle. She's great in defence alongside Rudge, Jodie Cunningham and Ebony Partington, but in Rugby League you've just got to chance your arm and you've got to go where the gaps are, and Tara's not afraid of Amy in any way, so she will just attack where she finds the threat is.
I think that's the key, don't be scared of anybody that you're coming up against. St Helens then in possession. Keeping it moving from Rudge to Travis. Travis, who looks like she's going to go on a line break every time when she hits that ball of speed. But York on that occasion coming in with the tackle. Here's Crowell. Crowell trying to drive her way forward. Again, good work coming in from York. And Tara Jones, again, glances over one shoulder, glances over the other, and gives the ball to Harris, who's looked good with ball in hand so far this afternoon. There's Travis again. Tackled by both Kershaw and Wood for York City Knights, and here again is Harris with that kick up high. Oh, and that's nicely taken as well by Georgia Taylor for York City Knights. A little bit of pressure coming in on her, but she stood her ground and took that ball well.
Yeah, a great take there, and she was under pressure. She was under pressure from the Saints side there, but you've just got to stay calm and collective. She practices them probably every single week in training, and you've just got to replicate the training into a game, but a great take from her.
Andrade for the Knights. Tackle from Vicky Whitfield for St Helens. York get the ball away from the bodies on the ground. Here's Dodd going forward now.
That's a great competition pairing, Paige Travis versus Holly Dodd.
Yeah.
That both phenomenal athletes, and both will want that starting second row shirt in these England internationals and the World Cup. So both really young players too. So how good is that going to be if we get more Paige Travises and Holly Dodds playing in the WSL in the future? It'd be great.
And both look good going forward. A good take there from Rebecca Rotherham for St Helens, and both Dodd and Paige Travis. They look exciting players when they've got that ball for different reasons, but exciting players.
Yeah, absolutely. They're probably every half-back's dream to play alongside either of them, because they'll take a ball into a brick wall, I'm sure, as they do week in, week out.
So St Helens with the penalty. York caught offside. I don't think the crowd much like that, but the referee had given it. And they're inside the York City Knights half now. Rotherham at Acton half. Offload to Birchall. Birchall nicely tackled there by York City Knights. Didn't know if a ball had come slightly loose there or not, but it's play on. Nothing untoward. It's Harris to Cunningham. Cunningham across the line to Whitfield. Good strength there from the prop forward. Gets the ball away as well. Intercepted by York City Knights. I think it went backwards. The referee indicating it went backwards. He's given the scrum to York City Knights. Must have come out first from a St Helens hand and been knocked on. Or pass forward.
I think York had hit it backwards there from Tamsin Renouf, and then it hit Vicky Witt while she was lay on the floor, and I think that's where the knock-ons come from there. But yeah, a great half-break from Vic Witt. She's so powerful, she's so strong, and unless you're leg tackling her, she is going to more than often make that break, but a great scramble again from York there.
She looks fierce to me, does Vicky Whitfield.
Yeah, and I think for her, she gets frustrated coming off the bench, but when you look at it, that's the power, that's what you need coming off the bench. She is an explosive player, and you do need her coming off the bench.
Holly Dodd going through there for York City Knights. Had that hit from Travis, stood up to it as well. Did the York teenager. Here's Jazz Bell. Oh, big hit there on Jazz Bell, but she took it. Look at the extra yards she's still making with players hanging off her. Great strength there from the forward. Here's Peach. That giggle there, I think, was, I'm glad I wasn't involved in it, wasn't it, to be honest?
That was a great collision, and Jazz Bell versus Vic Witt, that's another pairing what is outstanding to watch. But as you can see, Vic Witt put a right shot on, but Jazz Bell just stands up to it and carries on powering through the top. But yeah, two more great players to watch, and for me, I question week in, week out, how is Jazz Bell not in that EPU? She is outstanding, and for any middle to be playing 30, 31, 32 minutes at any level, whether it's Men's Super League, Women's Super League, NRL, is a real big thing. But for me, Jazz Bell is one to watch this season. There again, boom, straight up, arm up, and Vic Witt done well to get a body in front of that, but the collision, the noise was...
You felt it
loud.
basically, yeah, incredible collision there. You felt it, you heard it, and you were glad you weren't part of it. I think that's a thing that sums out that hit up.
Absolutely, but imagine them two as your middles in a World Cup.
Yeah, it gets your juices flowing, doesn't it, that one? That'd be great. And I'm sure there'll still be time as well to put various names on shirts as York kick forward from Tara Stanley. Again, nicely taken by Becca Rotherham. Just a little bit of stoppage in play before that because of just Paige Travis just being checked out by the physio, but everything's fine and play carries on. So here we go again then with St Helens on the attack. Good work coming in from Holly Dodd. Again, just doing enough to make sure that the run couldn't go any further. And St Helens just taking things steady, getting the early stages of the tackle count just steady away, and here she comes again, Vicky Whitfield, woof, straight into that line. Jazz Bell's in there again as well, look. It'll
be a great battle all game, that, but Vic Witt is just so powerful, and there you go, she's earned aside another set of 6 there, and this is where Saints now need to pick it up and start with them big powerful middles, creating some yardage, and then leave Jodie Cunningham and Zoe Harris to start creating gaps for their outside edges.
So Crowell, good yards there from her. Here's Travis again, tries to get around Dodd. Every time Travis seems to get that ball, now you've mentioned it, I just see her and Holly Dodd coming together constantly. Here's Jones to Cunningham. Cunningham takes on the line. Good ball, good hit as well. What a defensive set coming in from York City Knights. And St Helens not taking a backward step in attack either. Jodie Cunningham trying to get more pace involved there to Amy Hardcastle, who offloads the ball, tries to find Partington, and the crowd noise will tell you that that goes into touch before you even see it.
Yeah, York forcing the error there, but Amy Hardcastle with her hands on the ball and just goes for that tip. Maybe in that instance you just got to take that tackle, but she's just a selfless player who's always looking for that tip, but we were just a bit too close to the sideline. But the tackle before it was, for me, Emrudge going to hit a lead line where there was a gap, and Tamsin Renouf comes in and shot to first, which then allows Saints to attack back down that way because they should have a player overlap, but I think Sinead Peach had got round the back to defend that. But yeah, both teams are rattling each other, and I think forcing that error there, Saints will become frustrated now, but like I said before, the team who just stay calm and composed and use the players accordingly, so using the middles to take the first 3 drives and then earning the right to play. Nobody has the right to play anywhere on the pitch, and you can only start playing when you get into that attacking half. So I think the teams just need to both calm down and play back into this game.
So here goes Andrade. I'm sure it's one that the spectators this afternoon are enjoying in the community stadium. And if you're watching at home as well, hopefully it's a game that you're enjoying too. It's finally poised. St Helens caught offside. And every penalty now is being cheered by the York crowd. And St Helens, let's say they're playing 14 at the moment with that crowd.
I was thinking this before driving up, and that crowd is that 14th person. I didn't realise that until the Challenge Cup final, and we was camped on our own line, and all you hear then is Saints singing, the fans singing when the Saints go marching in, and it really does lift the side. So York know how they've got 14 players on that pitch, and they'll get behind each time and put pressure on the referees to be making different decisions. But yeah, Saints just stay composed, and York will wrap up what their fans are cheering for them.
Tilly Butler for York City Knights trying to find a way through the black shirts of St Helens. And a knock on. Good work in defence coming in from Saints. 3 players around Tilly Butler. And that's the scrum to St Helens.
You see Tilly Butler's in. She's got 3 players dragging her down to the field and the pitch, and if you need that player to make that big impact, it's going to be Emrudge. She's going to force the error, and that's what her side needed now, and Saints will get the hands on the ball.
So the 2 sides coming to pack down. Shani Crowell named loose forward, taking a place in the front row though at the moment. And it's Jones at that loose forward position, giving her the opportunity to get the ball away and out to Amy Hardcastle, who runs over 1 line of defence, takes a 2nd line of defence with a great strength there from the centre. Been pretty quiet so far this afternoon, but certainly reminding us she's still on that pitch.
I absolutely love an Amy Hardcastle drive. You know someone's going to end up on the floor. They know they're going to end up on the back foot, but the 20 metres, 30 metres off that drive, and yeah, she'll let anyone know she's on the pitch at any time, but seeing a hand on the ball, it just gives me so much excitement.
So Crowell gets to her feet for Saints, plays the ball and knocks it on.
Unfortunate there for Shani. I think she was just trying to regain her feet, and the ball just come out of her hands. I'm not sure how it hit the floor, but yeah, she'll be frustrated from that. I think everyone will there. You can see she's just standing up, and maybe I think the referee would have seen the bobble onto her foot, but whether it hit the floor or not, I'm not sure.
Well, either way, it gives York City Knights the possession with Tara Stanley, who comes majestically from the full-back position to join that attacking line at the scrum.
Okay.
Here's Dodd again. What can Dodd do? Almost again a little bit of daylight for Holly Dodd, but the defence really in around her, stopping her getting that ball out and away. Peach again has Sanderson this time. Sanderson, strong run from the forward, going through. Hardcastle's in there with the tackle and hauls her to the ground, really having a good tug. That was a test of how good the elastic is in the York City Knights shirts. And now it's Jazz Bell.
Amy Hardcastle looks like she's doing a stint as a middle. I think her position's on the centre, but she's pushed into the middle, and sometimes that's what you need from a teammate. You need them to come in and make them defensive efforts, and I think she's hit 4 out of 5 there, so that's outstanding from Amy Hardcastle.
Amy Hardcastle is one of those players who is a back but looks like a forward. You get him in the men's game as well, don't you? You look at someone in the centres and go, really? Are they not in the pack?
I remember playing against the Lancashire-Yorkshire game, and she was on my edge, and I was thinking in my head, how do you even stop her? What do you do? Do you hit the legs? Do you go up top because she's going to send me into the stands? And she is just a phenomenal athlete. I think if you put her on a netball court, if you put her on a football pitch, she'd just perform well in any sport.
It doesn't bear thinking about coming up against an Amy Hardcastle on a netball court, believe me. I think I'd retire that day if that happened. Going forward then is Leah Burke for St Helens. Good run coming from the winger as well. She's not scared to take on that defensive line. And once more it's Birchall. And York having to do the work. The work very much up the middle at the moment. This is the last of the set for St Helens. And Jones finds Harris, who's been quite influential in this first half. Not quite sure if that came off a York hand and it bobbled forward, but it's been picked up nicely by Whitehead. And Whitehead takes that ball in for York. And York tried to get things rolling once more towards the St Helens half of the field. Hetherington. Here's Stanley, joins the line. She's become a bit of a crowd favourite since signing from Castleford. The York fans have certainly taken to her. And here goes Peach now for York. Peach brought down. But York making inroads into that Saints half of the field. Still to get that line to crack, though, as far as St Helens is concerned. Knight offload out the back to Peach. Peach keeps it moving to Gale. Takes a little step straight into Crowell. Crowling with the tackle. Here's Peach once more. Here's Bell. Bell, strong run, decides not to pass it there. Straight in with the tackle is Paige Travis, and this is the last of the set for York. A step from the Knights. Whitfield's in there, and that defensive line isn't going to crack there. York just running out of options, I think, on the last. St Helens standing up well in defence.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's not a negative end to the set for York there. And Sanderson, I think she just got her hands on the ball on the wrong tackle, and you could see Hetherington asking for the ball, but it's not a negative end whatsoever for York. They've turned the ball over, which is on the St Helens line, so Saints now have to make their way down the pitch, and 100 metres is a tough way to go when you've got such a good defence what York have got today.
Well, a stoppage in play while a couple of the players from both sides just receive a little bit of attention from the physios. Jazz Bell is certainly getting one of her legs properly rubbed down, so I'm not quite sure whether that's a bit of cramp that's setting in or a bit of muscle tightness that's just causing her problems, but she doesn't look in too much discomfort, let's put it that way. So let's have a look at the tries that we've had so far while we've got this break in play, Faye.
So you can see here it was a break here from Zoe Harris, and she goes partway down the pitch. She's looking for that offload, but shows and goes again and feels Tara Stanley, but a great cover tackle from Gale there, and which earns Leah Burke to score on the back of that.
Well, players started again here at the LNER Community Stadium, and it's St Helens with that possession. And here goes Shani Crowell once more for Saints. Good effort there coming from York. 3 players in with the tackle, going hunting in packs, both of these sides defensively this afternoon. Birchall takes it for Saints.
Play on, still moving.
Butler in there for York. Also Peach as well. Captain this afternoon, sharing the captaincy with Kainty Langan again this season. Langan not involved this afternoon, and that was a big tackle again coming in.
Jasmine Bell, what a hit. There's not many people who will pick Vicky Whitfield up in this WSL in Duncan, but a great shot from Jazz Bell, great technique to lift her and a great drive.
Watching the little battles like that are starting to develop, it's absolutely fascinating this afternoon as the kick is rebounded there from Zoe Harris. That will have hurt. Still goes forward. It certainly goes forward from St Helens as well. So that will be a York ball.
Yeah, that'll definitely hurt you. As a kicker, you hit the ball with all your might, and to bounce off someone's head, it is quite unfortunate for the player it hits on the head. But yeah, she hits at all full force and unfortunately just rebounds off the head, and Travis can't take that, but a York ball now and we go again.
Well, let's see what York can do in these closing stages of this first half. The clock, just for guidance on your screen, the referee is keeping the time this afternoon, but still a little bit of time still to go. We've had 1 or 2 stoppages in this first half, so York probably will have time to get through this set, and let's see if they can make any inroads on that scoreboard again before that half-time whistle. So Peach takes the ball. The offload comes, a good drive forward comes in as well from York City Knights. Again, Butler getting involved. And the ball is played and out. Here she goes, Jazz Bell, caught by Paige Travis. Travis goes low on her, Birchall goes high on her, and Bell can't make too much damage on that particular run. But York going forward, still inside that St Helens half. Saints just slowly getting to their feet. Butler plays the ball and it's out and away. Hetherington was asking for it. It went back to Stanley. Kick downfield. That sits up quite nicely, and the bounce just evades Rebecca Rotherham there. It's one of those, isn't it? Never let a rugby ball bounce, I think.
I think Tara Stanley went for a drop goal there. She aimed for the drop goal and unfortunately just bounced before the sticks, but that's a clever player to think about that with nearly full half-time now, nearly about 40 minutes. But yeah, a great decision to go for that drop goal.
Says a lot about a game when players start going for drop goals, I think.
Yeah, it does, especially in the first half, but it then means your side's going in 1 point up, and that's what you want at half-time, whereas now we're going in even scores.
So Shani Crowell going through for St Helens. Good work coming in from Savannah Andrade. Jones, here comes the pace. Every time Cunningham gets it, it looks like the pace is just increased slightly for St Helens. She goes on her own on this occasion. The York defence again scramble back well, and the tackle comes in. It goes to Jones, who's got Birchall. Birchall once more, straight run from the forward. Read by the York defence. St Helens, though, looking dangerous. Every time they get a little bit closer, they look that little bit more dangerous. There's the hooter. So what can Harris do with this kick? It will bounce in goal, and it will just go dead. No danger there. Snuffed out by the bounce of the ball. But what a first half we've seen, Faye.
Yeah, outstanding. And these are the games you want to watch, and especially on the Sportsman today, covering it this afternoon. But 6 apiece going in at half-time. 2 of the top teams in the WSL. This is what we want.
Just 2 tries in the first 40 minutes. We're used to seeing St Helens getting a shed load of tries, but for the good of the game, seeing both sides really just to 1 try apiece in the half and really slug it out, it's good to see.
Yeah, it is, and this is what's going to happen now. Now the WSL is split. I know Challenge Cup, there was a lot of blowout scores, and unfortunately that's what you're always going to get in the Challenge Cup when you're getting teams from the Championship and below playing against teams from the WSL. But now when we've hit this side, you're going to get them tougher games in the WSL.
So that's the summary of the first half. 6 apiece. The first try going in from Leah Burke for St Helens, converted by Zoe Harris, and Grace Field in response for York City Knights, with Tara Stanley also making sure of the extras with the boot. 6 points apiece. So let's see if we can see then the tries from the first half. I think we expected maybe a couple more than just 2, Faye, but testament to some great defensive work.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. You can see here Zoe Harris backs herself with that show and go. She's got Naomi Williams on the left hand side, but again she opts for the show and go again. Feels Tara Stanley. Great cover tackle from Olivia Gale there to hold her up just in front of the line. A great scramble defence from York here. Then you've got Jodie Cunningham jumps in, tips it on to Tara Jones. Leah Burke steps in and scores there nicely in the corner. Again, a near great cover defence from Stanley there. Then again for York City Knights, you're seeing Grace Field with her hands up, a great kick through from Peach, and Field finishes nicely just right-hand side of the post.
So Grace Field getting in for the Knights. Tara Stanley levelling it, making it 6 points apiece at half-time here. And of course, this weekend, the whole sport is dedicated to creating awareness of the wider issues for players as they tackle the tough stuff. Lewis Smith looked into this with the panel this week on The Last Tackle.
Gents, Kev, I'll come to you. We love the game on the field, we love rugby league, but how good is it to see the sport taking care of matters and the people involved in it off the field as well?
Oh, it's massive. I think we can see on the field it's progressed Super League since 1996 and when it started. But off the field, I think it's fantastic now that we're looking at mental health and breaking that stigma. And we was with Robbie Paul on Monday, and some of the stuff they're doing. I just remember a quote he said, it's what they're not doing. They're doing everything for players and people involved in the game. And it's massive that, in career transition, ups and downs, the mental health side of things, I think the more we talk about it, the better we'll be, and normalise it. So that it's great that the offload programme and what Paul Wood speaks about there.
You two have both obviously made the transition from player into retirement. Hendo, I'm not sure that you've ever had a proper job because you're running with us, but that is such a key thing, isn't it? Because rugby league is not a sport that plays its players enough to live off that money for the rest of their life.
No, you're absolutely spot on there, Lewis. And it's great that our game is now starting to put those plans in place for players to transition. The educational programs, even for the younger players coming through, is far better than it ever was. So it's great as a game that we have that. On top of that, with people like Rugby League Cares who are extending more support, not just to past players and administrators and coaches of the game, but also fans as well within the game. All some of these projects and programs, for everybody involved who support rugby league. So it's just vitally important for me now, especially when you see male suicides at an all-time high. And I like the way too. It's not just all about mental health. It is about physical health as well, because even for past players as well, some of us, the injuries that we take. Our bodies do break down a lot quicker and we can't maybe adapt to certain jobs or roles that we would have wanted to do, and so there's support things in places for those guys as well. So I can only say hats off to those who have been able to get behind this, create it and drive it, and long may it continue.
Chances to win big games, they're few and far between.
It's a great feeling. You just want to be part of that.
It's something you could only dream of as a kid.
Something that I will never forget.
It makes me quite emotional. It's an amazing experience.
It's getting me excited just thinking about it.
For 1 year only, at Tottenham Hotspur. A chance to say you were there.
Well, look at the faces. Listen to the roar.
Huddersfield, the birthplace of rugby league. Wigan, the Challenge Cup specialists. Featherstone, remember 1983? Lee, memories of Murphy.
Morgan Smith! Now goes it, Pepe!
Pride, passion, heritage, atmosphere.
History will be made at Tottenham.
Let's show the world what we can do with a World Cup that makes a real impact, both on and off the pitch, through real impact stories. This is an England international shaking the earth on his own turf. It's one Welshman's greatness living on through our Surrey ball. It's striving for your place against all odds. It's living and breathing the game after life-changing events. It's team spirit as St Helens send aid to Tonga. It's building a new roost for the Salford Roosters. It's kick-starting the fun with squads on the time. And it's having the ability to shout as we make a real impact in homes, in streets, in fields. And when we land this October, we'll be smashing the history books by hosting the biggest, best and most inclusive Rugby League World Cup ever. This is Rugby League in your community, your street, your heart. Leaving a positive impact, inclusive impact, a proper impact to packed stadiums all across the land. And when you hear the roar of the crowd, get ready to experience the full force of the Rugby League World Cup. This is real impact.
Well, welcome back to the LNER Community Stadium in York for this second round match in the Women's Super League. 6 points apiece is the score. It's York City Knights against the champions St Helens. The champions against a team that fancy their chances of challenging for the top of the table this year. They will be, well, just two of the sides that in this Women's Super League 1 that will be in a position to be able to challenge this year. A restructured competition, as we talked about a little bit earlier. And these are the type of games, Faye Gaskin, St Helens halfback, that really this competition was hoping that will be thrown up because of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and the great restructure and rebrand of the WSL 1 and will bring out these games, the tight scorelines, the incredible athletes, the strong, the powerful. That's the sort of stuff what we want viewers to see and fans to come down and see, and we want young girls to look at and be like, whoa, actually I want to play in that WSL, I want to be as good as Amy Hardcastle or Olivia Wood. This is what you want to see. You don't want to see a 40 points to nil scoreline. It does nothing for the game, it does nothing for our growth going forward, so the rebrand and structure is being really good.
St Helens choosing not to go back into the dressing rooms at half time. As you saw, they just gathered there basically at one end of the pitch near to the posts. It's a double header here this afternoon. It was a busy day for this stadium yesterday as well. There was a National League North football playoff final here as well yesterday, so St Helens having to change, maybe not quite in the changing rooms you would expect them to be, so they've just elected to be on stay on the pitch at the half time. So we had 2 tries in the first half, both of them well worked, Faye.
Yeah, as you can see, Zoe Harris skips through the defensive line against Peach and goes to offload to none, but throws that show and go, and great scramble defence from Olivia Gale, who just stops it just before the line. So frustrating for Zoe not to get over that line, but Saints scramble back out, Leah Burke edging back to the wing, and a nice tip on pass from Tara Jones. Leah steps back inside and finishes it off nicely in the corner.
And then the try coming from York City Knights. Again, clever play.
A great team try. You see Grace Field with her hands up in the air, telling Sinead Peach she's ready. Sinead dribbles it perfectly through the defensive line, is the only word to describe that. And Grace finishes it nicely for York City Knights. Both
tries converted to bring it level at 6 points apiece. And we're seeing the tries there, but we've also got to mention the defence that we saw in the first half.
Oh, both teams have been absolutely outstanding in defence, and full raps to Jazz Bell. She has been phenomenal in that middles, and she's really kept York City Knights fired in that middle section of the pitch. But again, looking opposite, you've got Chantal Crowell. Both players have played that 40 minutes in that first half, and that's tough in any game to play 40 minutes. And they've come out, they've run so hard, they've made them tackles, and I think they're the players you need in your squad. Although you've got the outstanding edges, and you've got Amy Hardcastle and Tamsin Renouf who are playing outstanding on the edges, your middles have to form the platform in order for you to play. And I think if you look at the middles from both teams today, they have been outstanding.
Well, the crowd gradually growing still as well this afternoon at the Community Stadium. It is a double header, the York City Knights men playing after this game. Quite a lot of York fans have already come in for this one, and of course, as you would imagine, there's been a nice following across the Pennines as well from St Helens, and you can hear the crowd noise growing as well as this game grows on, and hopefully plenty for them to cheer about and get behind in this second half as well. 6 points apiece, finely balanced, and I think both coaches, Faye, will be learning a lot about some of the players. Quite a few younger players in the squad. One we've not seen yet come on, and it's a St Helens player I'm going to pick on, Katie Motorshead, the hooker on the bench.
Yeah, Katie's a really good young player, and she spent 12 months last year with us training and unfortunately didn't get a shot, and she's had a shot within the Challenge Cup. She's great attacking, she's really fast off the mark, but I'm not sure if she will feature and will come off the bench today, because you've got really strong middles in York, and she's quite a small player. And I know you look at past players and you look at Rob Burrow, and he was tiny but a great player in the middle, and she is a phenomenal 9. And I think as she grows and as time goes on, she will become one of them top players, and she's on the DICE programme at the minute, so she is seen for one for the futures. But yeah, she's featuring on our bench today, and you don't know when if York start to tire, that might be where Det goes, yeah, come on Katie, let's have a blast. But against Jazz Bell, you're going to have to put your body in front, and I think size-wise, if you compare the size, like pound for pound, Katie's a really strong player, but against big middles, it might not be her day today.
And in that York side, saying about young players, Liv Gale, she's 18, she's formerly of Oulton Raidettes. She is well rated by Lindsay Anfield. She says she believes that that's the kind of player where the future of York City Knights is. It's a big test for her today, a big stage really. She's not played much, and she's coming up against St Helens.
Yeah, it is a big stage, and especially as a halfback, I've played in the half for a long time now, and for a young 18-year-old to try and make a mark in a halfback position, it reminds me a lot of Georgia Roach. When I became roommates with Georgia Roach at 17, 18 at England, she was confident. You've got to be confident. You've got to back your own ability, and even if you think, oh, I'm not sure if I can take on the line here, you've just got to back yourself, because as a halfback, the rest of your players look up to you. Regardless if you're 18 or 30, the rest of your players are like, what are we doing next? Are we going in? And it's a great stage for her against the treble winners who are looking to defend their title. So full raps to her, and congratulations. Playing at 18 in the WSL as a halfback is outstanding.
Apparently, she's the sort of player you don't want to be up against. She gives it rock all, apparently verbally, for her own team and the opposition. So here we go then. The second half gets underway at the LNER Community Stadium. It's York City Knights against St Helens. Rotherham takes the kick-off cleanly and gives it to Birchall, who runs it in for the first play of this second half of this second week of the Women's Super League in 2022. There's Izzy Rudge. Good defence from York City Knights. I think Bell, isn't she? Oh, it's Sanderson that's in there for the Knights. Good strong run going through from her in defence, pushing her back. And now it's Crowell. Again, Sanderson getting through that work defensively. She's only 20 as well, formerly in the England performance unit a few years ago. I'm sure she'll be quite keen to get herself back in there as well. Here's Hardcastle, a player who's been there and done that on the international stage. Been pretty quiet so far, Amy Hardcastle, but all it takes is one break and she's through. But the referee stopped the clock, and Hardcastle's down, just holding her head by the look of things.
Yeah, hopefully everything's all right there for Amy. I'm not sure if a knee landed on her head, and it's not a sight you don't want to see any player injured here. As you can see, she falls down onto the floor, and I think it's just a knee to the head, maybe on the way down, but
it's either a knee or an elbow. Looking at where her limbs were flying, she didn't look particularly comfortable, Amy Hardcastle. But sometimes when you get a collision like that, it can almost be a bit of shock, I guess, when you get something really hard hitting you.
I guess if you get hit in the ear, or it could just be a pop, but hopefully it's not a player you want to see, not a sight you want to see for any player whatsoever. No injury, we don't want to see that, and especially Amy. I know you've got Jade there, the physio, and she'll be making sure everything's all right with Amy, and if she's ready to carry on.
And of course, we've talked about this before, the World Cup coming up at the end of the year. Players will be quite conscious, I would imagine, of injuries and making sure they're all right, because that will be the focus.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a fear for anyone. I know leading into the 2017 World Cup, that was the fear. That was, you don't want to lose that World Cup shirt, especially if you're on top form. But I said before, you've got to be performing at the top ability in the domestic league. You've got to perform week in, week out in order to earn that shirt at the end of the year. No one's guaranteed a World Cup shirt. No one's ever guaranteed an England shirt. It's a real honour to make that England debut and get that heritage number. So you've got to make sure you're performing here week in, week out for your retrospective clubs in order to earn that England shirt.
Well, Amy Hardcastle still getting the attention from the physio. At least she's sitting up now, which is a better sight to see, and she looks like that initial shock has gone as the physio just runs through the checks. As obviously these days so much extra care is taken over any kind of head knock, and quite right too. Paige Travis hasn't left her side hardly since she went down. She's just been staring at her really intently, and a little bit of concern almost on her face.
Oh yeah, Paige and Amy are the best of friends, and for me, Amy's been really good for Paige. She's really developed Paige as not only an athlete but a person. Amy's such a good person, working in mental health at the minute, so she really supports the whole squad with staying positive, performance, pressure. But yeah, it's great to see Amy back on her feet, and Paige, I think she just wants to hug her.
Well, the thumbs up's been given by the physio, so Amy Hardcastle will be continuing. Whatever happened though with that knock, she's felt it, still rubbing her neck a little bit there, and just reminded to go back and play the ball.
That's not concussion. Amy would forget that anyway.
That's almost good to know, really, anyway. So St Helens then going forward. It's Birchall. This is the last of the set as play restarts after that stoppage because of the knock to Hardcastle. Harris, she's been impressive in the first 40 with the boot. Goes over the head of Tara Stanley. Makes contact with the ball, Stanley, but obviously it's travelling in the right direction to avoid any issues, any penalties being given away. And Stanley brings play forward now for York City Knights. Zoe Harris has really stood up for me this afternoon so far at half-back. Always Andrade goes forward, almost gets around the player there, Harris.
Yeah, Zoe's a great half-back, and she's really coming to her own, getting a selection into that EPU. That boosts your confidence every week. But yeah, a kicking game there, it has developed as the game's gone on, and it's turned Tara Stanley round twice, and that's what Zoe needs to keep aiming for. She works so hard on her kicking.
Jazz Bell to Holly Dodd. Nice little layoff there coming from Bell, but the defence read it, closed the gap down. And it's Peach again to Bell, getting through a phenomenal amount of work, both her and Grace Field in the middle of the pitch, as Daisy Sanderson can't find a way through the black shirts. This is the last of the set for York City Knights. Peach again. There's Field. Field with the kick this time. Aims it at Partington, who takes it without any question this time. Tries to get around the outside of Whitehead, and she manages it, and she's away as Partington. Is this going to be a tackle from Andrade? She holds her down, and that looked like Partington could have been in space. Maybe Partington not quite had the pace to get her any further forward. But St Helens on the front foot with Rotherham. Drives forward. Bell's in there with the tackle. And St Helens with the momentum in this set now. Here goes Jones. Finds Rudge. Rudge, nice little offload again. Oh, big hit coming in on Pip Birchall. Good work from the York City Knights defence. Sanderson once more getting stuck in for York.
That's a great shot there from York on Birchall, and Holly Dodd and Sanderson get right under the ball, which then you're only going one way, and that's backwards. But a great shot there from York.
The forwards on both sides, you've mentioned it, Faye, putting in some great efforts this afternoon defensively as the ball goes to Harris for St Helens. Back inside to Travis again. Great defensive work coming in from York. And this is the last of the set for St Helens. They go on the short side with Harris. She puts a grubber kick in, and it's intercepted by York City Knights. That's a reliever from that York City Knights defensive line from Emma Kershaw. And York get the ball back, breathless.
Yeah, a great set there from Saints, just not a great end to the set there. We dribbled it through, but Kershaw getting her hands on the ball and head in the opposite direction. But this game is just, it's a wow factor. You can see there, Zoe just hits it wrongly off the inside of her foot, and Kershaw gets the ball and puts her head down and backs herself. But yeah, what an opening start to this second half.
Emma Kershaw, part of the England student setup, formerly of Wakefield. As York City Knights come towards that halfway line now. Good yards made by the Knights in their set so far. Here's Peach. Got the runner again of Holly Dodd. She's been a willing worker this afternoon for York. On the last of the set.
Go quick as
Field not going to kick it this time. It goes back to Stanley. Stanley steps off one foot, gets around the first line of defence before that spinning, swirling kick comes in. Beautifully taken by Rebecca Rotherham. Good hit coming in and chase from the York City Knights. Rotherham is another player that's been in good form for St Helens.
Yeah, Becca really grows into the game as we go, and as a fullback it's tough. Great defence here from York. Yeah. Change the subject, great defence. Grace Field again with a body in front and charging back Ebony Partington there, but the defence in this game from both sides has just been outstanding from start to the second half.
It has. I think to take anything away from this game this afternoon certainly will be the defensive performance of both of these sides. Neither have given an inch, neither have taken a backward step, and they've both got stuck in. And you were noting at half-time how many minutes some of these forwards have played as well, Faye.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just some massive minutes for the middles. You've got Grace Field, Jazz Bell, both done full time, not even being spelled yet. You've got Chantel Crowell, who's the same for Saints, and that's a tough gig for any middle, whether you're playing in the Women's Super League, you're playing in the Men's Super League. Middles are having to do them minutes, and you can't tell if they're tired or not because they're still putting them hits in, they're still doing them drives, and for me, I love that.
Oh, and here goes Rudge almost around Hetherington, who does well to wrestle her to the ground in the end, but it'll be a penalty off the ball. Jodie Cunningham is down.
Time off.
Yeah, that was as they say, a cheap shot there off the ball and hits Jodie just as she tips onto Em Rudge. So you can see Jodie takes the line and gets hit from the back there from Grace Field. Maybe a 10 minutes in the sin bin for that, but we'll see what the referee decides.
I'm laughing not at the fact that she hit hit her, but the fact that she patted her on the back did Gracefield while she's on the floor, almost apologising or checking she was all right. I don't know what it was, but straight away admitting it and being very apologetic about it. But the penalty to St Helens. I almost wonder, I mean, it's Rudge with ball in hand, but yeah, giving it to Zoe Harris, if there would have been maybe a two-pointer on the cards there, but clearly Saints electing to run it.
Yeah, 30 metres out for a kick. I think I'd have done it. I'd have gone for it. I'd have backed myself. But yeah, it's early days, isn't it? Maybe something you regret later on, but Saints being in the attacking half with 6 tackles, it's where we come into our own as a squad, so they'll want to back themselves in attacking shape.
Next time you're playing, I'll hold you to that if I see that happen. Tara Jones then for St Helens, really putting the pressure on that York City Knights defensive line now, moving it out to Rotherham. She's got support to Travis. Oh, and the pass goes to ground. St Helens were really starting to work the overlap there with that York City Knights defence, but the pass just not taken.
Yeah, absolutely. They shift the ball in. I think Travis was going for the winger there, and it just hits Woozy on the head, but it was great attacking shape, and you earn the right in order to attack like that, and we had that shape from the left to the right. Cunningham with a hands on the ball to Harris, then to Travis, and unfortunately just an error in the corner there, but York having to scramble to make that defensive error.
Bit of a change in that three-quarters for St Helens this afternoon. No Carrie Roberts, she was injured in the Challenge Cup final, and Danny Bush still missing after dislocating a kneecap in one of the rounds of the Challenge Cup as well. So not the starting three-quarters maybe that Dec Hardman would have initially gone for at the start of the season, but I'm sure he's got plenty to think about with some of the performances since then. So it's York in possession with Liv Wood. Brought down on the 40. Almost chance to catch your breath. It's been end-to-end this second half so far. Andrade, good work coming in from St Helens again. The tacklers catching the eye. Crowell and Emily Rudge combining with that one. Peach, she's got runners. She finds Hetherington, little bit of a dummy coming up from Georgia Hetherington. This will be the last. And it's Peach. She's got support on the far side, but the ball just taken into the defensive line, almost as if we didn't realise. No, pushing and shoving. The referee on the spot, just sorting things out. It's rare you see tempers really start to spill over like that in the women's game. Something's gone on.
I love it. I love that. I love it. Like, both teams, you can obviously see they want the win. They want to get them points for the WSL. It's second game of the season, and it's tough. You can see Zoe Harris there just calming Tara down, but tempers are raising. You can see a tackle from Paige Travis comes in and something happens. Something must happen there. Paige isn't the type of person to start pushing or lashing out there, but then they're both nines going at it. But yeah, tempers are building. Both teams are probably coming frustrated with themselves, with errors. York there getting caught on the 5th and last, probably not the end to the set they wanted, but yeah, the referee taking charge of this.
Yeah, and I don't think too much is going to come of the... I was going to say scuffle. I don't even know if it was that. There was just a lot of very angry faces and a few words exchanged. Oh, what a hit! Good grief! What a hit that was coming in from York City Knights. Grace Field, she's been outstanding for me this afternoon, and again she's in there with the tackle, and it forces a knock on as well. Look at the York girls' reaction.
You can see the great hit from Gracefield on Isabel Rudge there, gets right under the ball and then backs it up with the next hit and then forces the error. The York fans, it's so loud here. I've took my headphones off to listen to the cheers, but this is what York want. They want to get under the skin of St Helens here, and you can see a second hit there from Grace and Savannah, and it just forces the error. The ball ends up on the back of Savannah, and you've got to protect that ball, and frustrating there. Rudge will be really frustrated from that, but York are doing the right things at the minute, and they're getting under the skin of the St Helens players.
It was just as if somebody had flicked a switch that said adrenaline and it hit the York girls, wasn't it? They just, wow.
Yeah, and it comes off the back of that first big hit from Gracefield, and you want, when your side have had a little bit of a push and a shove, you want that person to make that next big impact, and Gracefield done that against Saints and caused that error.
So let's see what effect this has on the game then. York City Knights with the possession from the scrum with Tamsin Renouf, brought down by Amy Hardcastle and Rotherham. York attacking on the short side with Wood. Wood again, Hardcastle in there with a tackle. You heard the collision and the impact on that one as well from Rudge going in around the legs. Hetherington now for York City Knights. The halfback takes it herself. Again, Hardcastle in there once more with the tackle. This time Cunningham linking up with her. It's Wood to Andrade. Andrade trying to find a gap up the middle. St Helens coming in. Both sets of players certainly will have the adrenaline going now. Both will need to keep their heads in this situation. There goes Field. Field runs straight at Birchall, gets that ball out as well. Play on, says the referee. Andrade. And this is the last for York City Knights. Will it count for them? It's Sinead Peach to Tara Stanley. There's the kick to the corner. Players are underneath it, but it's taken by St Helens safely. The threat is diffused.
Penalty.
And St Helens get the ball, and there's a card going to be shown as well.
Yeah, unfortunately it's a professional foul though. Leah gathered the ball in the in goal, and it's a straight to the 20 metres for a quick tap and go, and the York players tried to keep her in the in goal. I'm not sure if it was a mix-up of knowing the rules or not, but unfortunately that's a professional foul, and the referee made the right call there to send her to the sin bin.
It looks like Liv Whitehead, potentially the player that's had to go to the bin. In fact, yeah, Liv Whitehead, it looks like the player that's gone off for 10. Now this could be absolutely crucial. York City Knights down to 12 players with that sin binning. Let's see if St Helens can exploit it. They've been trying to move the ball out wide, trying to find the gaps in the corners, and by sheer advantage of numbers, this could now happen for Saints. Here's Whitfield. Whitfield right up the centre of the field, charging into that York City Knights defensive line. Wood with the tackle. Here's Jones. Crowell. Crowell works it to Cunningham. Cunningham again with that injection of pace. Gets around Renouf. Renouf, good work there, putting the arm out to stop the offload. Just covering the space with a hand. Here's Jones. Hoyle once more. The step coming from Shona Hoyle. Straight into Liv Wood. Liv Wood doesn't take a backward step. This is the last of the set for St Helens now. Here's Jones to Harris. Harris with the kick. It spins. Underneath it is Taylor. Takes that well. In fact, I think that's Whitehead. It must be Taylor that's in the bin.
Yeah, a good end to the set there from Saints, finally ending with a kick, but great to see Shona Hoyle and Vic Witt back off the bench for Saints. I think having middles what you can just rotate constantly and no change in impact is great blessing really, so good to see them back off the bench.
And St Helens caught offside.
And that's frustrating.
That'll be just the sort of thing on the flip side that the Knights will be looking for, just to relieve it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Knights will be looking for the next 10 minutes to go pretty quick. As you can see, Leah Burt gathers it, goes for the quick tap, and is kept in the in goal and then tripped and earns that penalty and a player into the sin bin. But York will be trying to waste these 10 minutes and go as slow as possible now to get back 13 players on the pitch.
Yeah, and it's Georgia Taylor who is in the bin for York City Knights. That's a good drive back on Savannah Andrade from St Helens. Jodie Cunningham and Rudge, what a combination they are, doing well there in defence. Here's Wood for York. York looking to just set things up, try and build that position. As you see again, the tackle coming in on Andrade, good work by Cunningham and Emily Rudge combining together. So what can York do now? Renouf gets to her feet, plays the ball to Peach. Peach finds Wood. Wood tries to find a way past Amy Hardcastle. She's not going to manage it with another player hanging off from behind her. That's Emily Rudge in there for St Helens. As the ball finds the centre of the field to Hetherington, almost half a step there from the half-back. This is the last for York City Knights. And it goes to Stanley. Again, the kick goes for the corner. The Knights trying to put pressure on, perhaps not the best of kicks there, but it ends up back in the York arms after coming off a St Helens player. And the referee says, yep, it's a York ball.
Yeah, another great kick from Tara Stanley there, and didn't go probably as far as she wanted, but it hung right in the right position, and just a fumble there from Woozy back into Holly Dodd's hand, but the pressure from Holly Dodd caused that, so York have got the ball here from a scrum.
And it's a crucial one as well for York City Knights. We've not quite played the hour. A little bit of stoppage time again in this second half. And again, that clock is just for guidance. But if the Knights can get the St Helens line to crack, it will really set things up. Here's Hetherington. Finds Renouf. Renouf has got Whitehead on the outside. But the tackle comes in from Hardcastle. Hetherington once more to Andrade. Big hit coming in there on Savannah Andrade. She'll have known about that impact.
Yeah, absolutely. A Rudge Cunningham sandwich is, nobody wants to run into that. But again, great defence from Saints.
Olivia Wood just taking the short ball. Drives York a little bit forward. Still a little bit of work to do from York City Knights if they're going to get the second try of the game. Oh, great angle being run there from York City Knights. Field is going to be denied. Good pressure coming in from that St Helens defence. Great work from the prop forward. Peach sends it wide. There's a step from Stanley. Is it opening up for the full back? Yes, it is! Tara Stanley goes in right underneath the post, and York go ahead.
That's outstanding from Tara Stanley. What an individual player, what an outstanding player. And you can see every time she's had her hands on the ball today, the York team have just lifted, and that explosion of pace. And yeah, she deserves that try. She's worked really hard this game, but Saints will be frustrated from that, especially just under the post. But Tara Stanley's left foot step, as you can see here, Vic Witt shoots out the line, and a left foot step from Tara Stanley and back in under the post. And a frustrating try to concede for Saints, but an outstanding finish for Tara Stanley.
Outstanding finish for Tara Stanley. Could the defence have done a little bit more?
Yeah, I guess the defence was there, the numbers were there. It's more about communication in that instance. Vic Witt shoots out to avoid Tara from shipping it to the outside, which is the right option. But if you shoot, you've got to make that contact, and she steps back in. But equally, the team should have been up with Vic Witt. If Vic Witt's gone, you go as unity, you go together, and Tara left foot steps, and I guess it catches the defence off, out of set really, because they expected her to go out and ship the ball left. But we know her dangers. We know how good that left foot step is, and she's caught us cold there in the middle, and she had to stretch to finish it. It wasn't an easy finish, and fair play to Tara for finishing that.
So let's see if the fullback can convert her own try. York City Knights ahead for the first time in this game. I'm sure Saints will have something to say about it though, as the kick comes in from Stanley. Adds the extra 2. She's pretty sure with that boot. 2 from 2 this afternoon from her. The 6-point advantage opens up for York City Knights.
Yeah, as you can see here, the try there, she left foot steps and then just catches the Saints defence cold in the middle of the post, and a great finish. She really finished that well to get over the line there, and as you can see, the joy on York's face when they've still got a player in the sin bin.
Absolutely, yeah, don't forget that they are still down to 12 with Georgia Taylor in the bin for that professional foul. About 5 or so minutes ago now, that one. So York still with work to do with a player down. And I'm sure, as we've mentioned before, St Helens will have something to say in response to conceding that try. We saw them come from behind in the Challenge Cup final against Leeds, when Leeds were really on top for long periods in that game. We know St Helens have got it in them, and I'm sure this game has more tries in it as well. Certainly not cut and dried yet which way this one will go. York City Knights coming forward. They've really got their tails up at the moment, have the Knights girls. That try will certainly have done them the power of good. So here's Peach up the middle to Wood. Hits that defensive line with strength, does Wood. Peach once more assesses the options again to Hetherington. A little bit of a show and go from the halfback.
Yeah, great defence there. It's like running into a brick wall. You've got Amy Hardcastle, Jodie Cunningham and Rudge, but as you see, Jazz Bell has just took to the bench now after 58-59 minutes, and what an outstanding stint for her.
And a good take coming in from St Helens. Leah Burke scooting forward and taking that ball under pressure and running into traffic as well, so she did well to take that ball as Woozy now comes through for Saints. I know we've seen knock-ons and a few mistakes this afternoon, Faye, but at the same time we've seen some really good levels of skill as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me today, the standout has been the defence from both sides. It's clear both teams are working on the defence with the coaches, and you can see it. The shots what are going in, there's players being lifted and dunked who you would never see with the feet off the floor, and the defence is just being phenomenal. I think attacking wise it's been quite simple. They've played quite simple both sides, because you're going to exert your energy from defence if that's all you're doing.
The ball going over the shoulders of Rudge, but taken by Hardcastle, just taking the edge off a bit of momentum there for Saints. But Shona Hoyle has something to say in the middle of the field and runs with aggression at that defensive line. This is the last of the set now for St Helens. It's Jones once more to Crowell. Crowell keeps it moving. She's got Harris, jiggles her way around. Oh, great defence coming in from York City Knights. Harris just taking a little bit too long there in her thought processes and giving the Knights defence a chance to get in. And again, it's Gracefield.
Yeah, they've got one job on the fifth and last, and Holly Dodd there, you can see, smothers her at first, and then in comes Gracefield. For me, we had numbers to attack then on that right-hand edge, so it might have just gone through hands. I always say no team has to always kick on the fifth and last. It catches defences out there. Holly Dodd's the fourth player defending in, next to Grace Field, who's the fifth. They've both shot out at Zoe, who's the kicker there. If she just makes that tip on pass, you've automatically got a 3-on-2 overlap because them players have already dragged to that 7.
Well, that could be Daisy Sanderson just going off for York City Knights. We'll get that one confirmed as to who it was that just limped off.
Hold. Go on.
Tilly Butler was the player that went off for York City Knights. And clearly the way she was limping, I'll be surprised if we see her back on the field this afternoon. But York, with that ball, with the momentum, with the crowd as well now, really trying to make home advantage count against St Helens, the champions. And there is Sanderson, still definitely on the field, taking that ball forward for York City Knights. Grudge there with a tackle with Crowell. The Saints forwards also getting through a lot of work in defence. Nice play there coming from Georgia Hetherington. Hetherington goes, she's still on her feet. And York City Knights should be back up to a full 13 now. Taylor should be back on. There's Peach, keeps it alive, moves it to Gale, back inside. Not the best of balls, but taken by Sanderson. What can she do with it? Just pops a kick up the best she can, and that's taken safely by Jodie Cunningham. Comes to a bit of a nothing end, that set. I think Daisy Sanderson a little in no man's land.
Yeah, but a great half break there from Georgia Hetherington.
Oh, and a break now coming from Rudge. Rudge is away. She's got Stanley coming in though for the tackle. Stanley completes it and makes sure St Helens have to play the ball again. And Stanley in there with a second tackle in quick succession. A lot of work coming from the York fullback. St Helens needing to find something to crack this York defence, who have really got the tails up, leading by example there, Gracefield.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Stanley making the first 2 cover tackles and then heads back off to a position, but taken over them by Gracefield and Holly Dodd, who both have been phenomenal this week in this game, and the defence has just been so good from York, and Saints have to find a way to crack it.
Kick downfield from Cunningham, watched by Whitehead, goes over her head and she just backpedals to take it. Little bit of a skid there from her, takes it safely and goes in. Hardcastle right in around the waist. There was no way that Whitehead was going to go any further than that.
No, absolutely not. The chaser from Hardcastle, Rudge, Cunningham and Partington, they were ready for that. But yeah, great defence.
So York City Knights on the attack. Renouf. Oh, what a sandwich met there.
You could see what Jodie was going to do then. She had a body ready just to hit under that ball, but yeah, another great defensive set.
The gap just closed. It was like sliding doors coming together, wasn't it? She wasn't going through there, Hetherington. But York in possession. Again, going on the shot side is Peach. Not quite sure Rudge knew what was going on. She just knew she had to get in the way there defensively, but her teammates came in and made sure that that run from York couldn't go any further. Not sure that was a pass being expected either there for the Knights.
That's one really good thing about Sinead Peach's game. She will constantly be looking at the markers and constantly be looking at where them gaps are, and when she jumps, it is a force to be reckoned with. She is great for doing that from the 9 position.
Safe hands from Leah Burke for St Helens, and she gets past the first line of defence as well. Good run coming in from the winger.
That's what we need now. We need them outside backs to do some workload. Our minutes have played massive middles, but yeah, a great return from Leah, and nearly a half break. Just someone had hold of the back of her shorts then, but yeah, Leah is great at getting in and sharing that workload.
A big hit coming in on Travis as Birchall goes forward now. Birchall on off the bench this afternoon for St Helens.
Go through.
And now it's Crowell.
It's okay.
Gets around Sanderson. Gets around Kershaw as well. Both players recover and get stuck in with a tackle eventually, and Crowell goes to ground as Harris now moves it across the centre of the park to Cunningham. Cunningham and Rudge combining to Hardcastle. Hardcastle tries to hand off Whitehead, but she had Renouf around her and the tackle is made. This is the last of the set for St Helens. A bit of a scruffy pass to Cunningham though, but the kick comes in. Stanley will watch it, and she will let that go on the dead ball line. I always think, Faye, in situations like this, you can see for St Helens, you can see Jodie Cunningham really stepping up.
Yeah, absolutely you can, and Jodie is great in any position along the squad, but for me, I think today you have missed her in the middles. She does a lot of work in defence and a lot of work in attack, and our middles are being phenomenal and real big workload, but the fitness of Jodie is just a different level, and I think today it's not been an outside back kind of game, it's been a very middles based, and I know Jodie will be frustrated at that because she loves tackling. I don't know anyone who loves tackling as much as her, but she likes that grind in the middle, and today she's on side and edge, but yeah, when she gets that ball, the squad just step up around her, and that's why she's the captain at a treble winning side.
So York City Knights then to Andrade. Andrade goes through.
3. Move now! Come here, hold here. Hold away, Paige. Hold. Go 3.
And here's Peach. Peach keeps it going to Sanderson. This
4.
just past the hour mark again. That clock is just a guide. But York with that advantage, if they can make this crack again for St Helens, this could be crucial for the Knights. Here goes Jazz Bell. Sanderson again. Sanderson driven forward, brought to ground. The ball is played and away. I was right first time. It was Bell. Drop goal attempt coming in from Stanley, just to the right-hand side of the uprights. But again, we're in that territory, aren't we? The Knights just trying to get every edge they can.
Absolutely, and right decision there. If that drop goal goes over, you've got equally. Saints have to score a try and a drop goal again. So Tara's a clever player. She'll be watching the clock tick down, and she'll be doing the right things for her squad now.
So St Helens just told to just start that again. The referee not happy with how that was set up to get going. But if that was a massive set for York, we've got some pretty big sets to come, as you see again how narrow that drop goal attempt missed for Tara Stanley. But there's some big sets ahead as well for St Helens, because the time is ticking down a little bit. There's one score in it. Someone somehow needs to score twice if St Helens are going to turn this one over.
Yeah, absolutely. And this part of the game, it is tough. And today, I think we've watched the game play in the middle of the park. It's not been at one end or the other, and that's what's going to happen now. These games are becoming closer with the WSL 1 coming into play. But yeah, something's got to change in this game. Either York go again or Saints go twice. But the clock's ticking down, and at the minute, it's York in front.
Sure, Saints will still have things to say about it. Paige Travis again with a big hit as she took that ball in. There will be some sore bodies tomorrow morning after this game. Zoe Harris with the kick over the top of the defence. Underneath it, poised. York City Knights take it and try and come clear from their own lines. Georgia Taylor back on the field after being sin-binned, taking it cleanly. I'm right in thinking, Faye, I know there was no season in 2020 because of the pandemic. Saints going unbeaten right through last year. This, if the Knights can hang on, it'd be the first defeat for Saints since 2019.
Yeah, I think it's been around 20 games we've not had a defeat in. I think I was looking at some stats the other day on the website, but yeah, it's something we're obviously not used to. But equally, Leeds put us behind in the final, and we had to come back from that. So we do love that. We do. It's pressure, isn't it? You've got to thrive off pressure. But as you can see, a big hit, and Birchall's hurt her knee, so hopefully everything's okay there again, being checked out. But the pressure is going to come, and it's going to come for these girls, and equally going to come in a World Cup at the back end of the year, or potentially in the international break in the next 2-3 weeks. But you've got to have that switch in your head where you can come from behind. I always think you're playing a 2 40-minute halves, and when we do conditioning, I always say to the girls, it's got to stop at some point. You're not going to die at the end of it, so you've just got to exert yourself for 40 minutes, find that switch in your head, and just get back to playing the basics. And I think that's one thing York have really done well today. They've played the basics, and that's how they scored that try in the second half from Tara Stanley. It was just a basic individual play. It wasn't anything fancy, or it was just basics. But equally for Saints, we've got to do the basics on our defensive line, and we haven't been challenged on that defensive line, so it is quite new for us. But it's been a great game, and obviously as a Saints player, I want our girls to take the win. But equally for the game, this has been outstanding.
It has. Both sets of players have really put everything into this one this afternoon. It's been very entertaining. There's been the individual battles as well that have been going on, particularly in the first half between Jazz Bell and Vicky Whitfield as well. The two powerhouse forwards coming up together, neither taking a backward step, and both of them giving 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love watching both players. I love watching middles. I really admire them. I think for anyone, you always think the wingers and the outside backs are the fittest players, but actually the middles have to be the fittest, because they're the ones who are doing 3-4 tackles on a run, then having to attack on the back of that. So for me, I admire my middles. I think they get me to a point which makes me then look good, because I do the plays at the back end of it.
It's true,
but that's how rugby league works, and the speed, the power, they take the ball in, but Jazz Bell today has just, for me, been outstanding, and she's met a match then with Vic Witt and Shona Hoyle have come on, Pip Birchall. It's been a tough middles game today.
Well, it looks like Pip Birchall's involvement this afternoon is ending. She's another player, we say it about so many of them this afternoon, that's got through a lot of work in the forwards, as she is sadly helped from the field, and that's never good to see as well, just not even putting weight on as she's been lifted off the field, not putting weight on that. So hopefully nothing too serious or too long term for Pip Birchall, but St Helens do have quite a gap now before the next game because of the international break and a free week in Super League as well. Next, taking on Leeds Rhinos in a repeat of the Challenge Cup final at St Helens on the 23rd of June. So time for Pip Birchall potentially to get sorted out and be back available for that next game. So York with the ball on the last of the set. Tara Stanley with the kick downfield, splits the defenders quite nicely, allowed to bounce. A chase is coming through, but Burke with plenty of space and plenty of time, but good pace coming in from Liv Gale from York City Knights, but Burke showing nice strength to hold off the defence that did get to her. Yeah, a great strength there from Burke, and it's so frustrating as a defensive line when someone's got the hand in your face. How do you tackle them? How do you get your body around? But Holly Dodd just having to get her down to the floor as quick as she can. But yeah, a great attack from Burke. Oh, and here we go with Amy Hardcastle. She shrugged off one defender. Tara Stanley can't get her either. Great chase coming back. I think Holly Dodd, the player in there, sorry, Tamsin Renouf, the player in there with the tackle for York City Knights, just bringing Amy Hardcastle down. But St Helens now trying to exploit a few gaps. Here's Emily Rudge. Good play from York City Knights. The defence comes in, but it's St Helens with the momentum. The Knights on the back foot. Here's Jones. Jones to Cunningham. Cunningham looks for support. She's got it with Shona Hoyle. The defence reads it. The defence comes in with a tackle. Jones once more. Saints shipping it out towards the right this time with Zoe Harris. Again, a bit of a pump of the ball before she releases it. Was that taken cleanly? The referee says yes. The hit tries to come in on Woozy. Eventually the centre comes down, and that was the last of the set. Yeah, I think our probably fifth and last plays are letting us down in this second half now, and it was a great break from Amy Hardcastle and a great scramble defence from York, and then Emily Rudge then on another half break. So on the back of that, the momentum's in our favour, and we've got to look and exploit them gaps there and start challenging York's defence a bit more. And we went for that power play on the fifth and last, which I backed before. You don't always have to kick, but unfortunately the pass just went to floor there. So Tara Stanley coming through for York City Knights. Go on. And York probably looking now to do what Lindsay Anfield talked about pre-match of making sure it's patient play from the Knights and keeping themselves composed as well. And in this position against St Helens, that'll be certainly what she'll be trying to get her team to make sure they're good at. As they come up the middle of the field again with Bell and Whitfield coming together once more. It's been an absolute joy watching those two slug it out today in the middle of the field. An absolute joy. Peach then from Acting half. Offloads to Holly Dodd. Dodd just breaks inside the Saints half of the field. This will be the last of the set. Go 5. And it goes back to Stanley. The kick is there. It's high. Options underneath it, taken beautifully by Amy Hardcastle. And the defensive line has to work, but it doesn't crack on that occasion. Yeah, a great take there from Amy, but great pressure from Tara Jones on that kick against Tara Stanley. Once she's under pressure, the ball didn't travel as much distance and just went high, but Hardcastle there with a great take. Great hands-off coming from Leah Burke, and she's getting around the outside of Whitehead, who recovers with a great tackle for York City Knights. Leah Burke had done all the work there. Some great hands-off to create herself some space, but the defence does its job for York. Yeah, absolutely. Leah backs herself there, and it's the right option. She backed herself around the whole side of the York pitch with her hands off, so you can see the 2 right hand, 3, and then she carries on going again. 4 right round the outside of but a great scramble defence there, and you've got to put your body on line. Maybe just a left foot step back in would have caught Whitehead off guard, but a great scramble defence from Whitehead, and winning her side the ball again. I've seen Liv Whitehead 2 or 3 times now this season, and she looks like she's got some great potential. Great potential. Another good young player, and that's one thing Lindsay Anfield always does. She brings young players through the system, and she's done that at Cass, and now she's doing that at York, so it's great to see that happening in the game. Yeah, Liv Whitehead, a 19-year-old in this side this afternoon for York City Knights. As Holly Dodd, similar age, going forward for York. Plays the ball to Peach, who takes it herself. She's got that player there, though, Grace Field. driving through. She meets Vicky Whitfield as well. And Whitfield stands there. 6 against, says the referee. That was a cheer you could hear in the background. He wipes the tackle count clean as Jazz Bell goes forward for York. The forwards trying to gain the metres upfield.
Yeah, just this forwards battle, and you can see now forwards are getting tired. They're doing big minutes in the middle, but it was always going to be a forwards game today when you have such good international players against each other, and players maybe trying to earn that shirt.
Oh, but the pass can't be taken from Gale. It goes to ground, picked up by St Helens. That could have been a crucial move there for York City Knights. St Helens absorb that pressure and get the ball back. And it's Crowell trying to work her way out of the St Helens 20-metre area. If either defence is going to crack, if there's going to be a clean break fair, I do feel it's going to be St Helens that manage that, though.
Yeah, potentially. You can see the middles from York are doing really well to get back. You can see the head down, and they're really trying hard to push now, and Saints have to exploit that. They have to look at the players who are becoming tired or where the gaps are in defence, and they've got to go. I know Jodie Cunningham will step up and get her hands on the ball. When she gets her hands on the ball, she's so dangerous. But yeah, Saints have to just exploit them gaps.
That was a big hit on Becca Rotherham. Again, Grace Field, the player that was in there, took the little ball from Emily Rudge. Here's Hoyle. Hoyle breaks the gap. There she goes. There's the forward. Is this the break that we talked about? Shona Hoyle. Stanley is there for the Knights. Hoyle gets around a great play again, coming back, scrambling through for York. But Saints in a decent position for the last of the set. Here's Harris. What will she do with it? The kick will come up. It's quite high, it's quite direct as well. Underneath it is Cunningham, also underneath it as well is the defence. And the referee just blows a whistle. I think it'll still be a York ball.
Yeah, and a great break from Shona Hall. You've seen that happen last week when she played her first game for Saints, but she is just so powerful and so fast for a middle, and she gets around the back end there of Tara Stanley, and it's the 5th and last, but we've got to be better on the 5th and last. That's a disappointing end. Deck will not be happy with that. We had options there. Tara Stanley was well out of position because she chased Zoe right foot step, so there you've got to have our attacking players who are going for that chip and chase over the top. There's no fullback at home, so we've got to exploit that better.
Well, we wondered on the end of the last set for the Knights how crucial it was that nothing really came of it. I wonder how crucial that will be for St Helens, set up by the break from Shona Hoyle. And incidentally, Faye mentioning there about the pace of the prop forward. If you want to see footwork from a forward, if you can find the try she scored last week against Wigan and watch that, her footwork was absolutely immense. But it's York in possession back in this game here at the LNER Community Stadium. Still that 6-point advantage. The clock on your screen is just for guidance, but we are getting into the back end of this match. A little bit of stoppage time will be added on. 1 or 2 injuries in this game. This is the last of the set for York City Knights. The ball goes to Stanley. She kicks downfield. Rotherham is there in space, takes it cleanly, comes away. Good 10 metres or so will be made before that defensive line gets there and the tackle comes in.
Yeah, equally, Tara Stanley, a great kicker and causes so much trouble, but you've got to also get that away from Becca Rotherham because she can receive and go really well herself. So both fullbacks today having a great game, very limited on errors. I don't think either has made an error from a kick, so great game from both fullbacks.
Partington denied with her little dance to try and get around the defence, and now it's Hardcastle's turn for St Helens. Again, the defensive line stands up firmly to that strong centre from Saints. Emily Rudge. In there is Andrade. Also Hetherington as well. The referee shouts held as that ball is released, so that will be taken back and played to Jones. Jones to Cunningham. Cunningham. Harris once more to Crowell. Crowell will attack that defensive line. Good work from the defence. This is the last for Saints, and look at where they are on the pitch. Still just inside the York 40. The kick goes long from Zoe Harris. The experience is there of Tara Stanley as that ball bounces and bobbles and just dribbles away harmlessly in the end.
Yeah, another end to the set, and that's probably not the kick what you want. Unfortunately, I think teams are getting tired now, so maybe we're looking at them little chips over the top and trying to turn that defence round on the York line, so trying to get Tara Stanley to come about 5 metres from a try line and getting a really strong, ferocious set in defence against her. But a 7-tackle set now from York as the ball went out behind the in goal.
And the drive comes through once more from those strong forwards of York City Knights. Sinead Peach, as ever, just raises her arms, tries to get things going a bit more. Holly Dodd now, she's run well, not had some of the clean breaks that we've seen in previous matches from Dodd, but that's testament to the Saints' defence.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to get now in the more tougher games, the stronger games. You're not going to get the clean breaks from the Holly Dodds, the Emily Rudges, the Amy Hardcastles. You've got to earn the gaps in the defence, and you've got to earn the right to attack like that. So, yeah, but a great game from Holly Dodd today.
Hetherington with the ball, little pass to Andrade, takes that defensive line in. As Peach prepares to go from acting half. She takes it herself, gives it to Wood. Wood drives through, good tackle coming in. Does that little bobble that we saw there? No, says the referee, nothing seen at all. It's Hetherington now for York. Here's Renouf. She's got Whitehead on her outside, but takes on that defensive line. Renouf got a bit of a smack in the chops there by the look of things from that defence that came in from Emily Rudge and Jodie Cunningham. It's that sliding door again, isn't it? As Hetherington takes it herself from acting half. Play on, says the referee. The defence comes in once more and wipes the tackle clean. It's 6 again for York. Here's Andrade. Saints defence really under the cosh at the moment. Will it crack once more for the home side? There's Wood, takes the ball, takes a drive in as well. Good defence from Whitfield. Bodies flying everywhere. Here's Peach. Peach has support. Moving along the line from Gill to Stanley. Stanley with the step. Stanley goes for the line. Stanley, is she going in? She's got to be held short. Great play coming in from St Helens defence, but it's York in command with Grace Field. And Field crashes in, and the referee says behind the post she's held up. What a passage of play again there we see, Faye. Incredible from both sides, and of course York still with that possession. Yeah, outstanding there, and Grace Field coming in, charging through the ball there, and you can see probably 50 kg Becca Rotherham getting a body in front to hold that ball up, and a great defensive set there from Saints. Kick from Stanley, taken cleanly by the St Helens defensive line, and again the attack is snuffed out, probably with just a few minutes to go in this game, Faye. An ideal time for you to name your, good luck, player of the match. Oh, it's been outstanding from both teams, but for me, she's been phenomenal in the middle. The defensive work, what she's got through, her attacking. Yeah, she's not got herself over the try line today, which has been unfortunate, but for me, the Betfred player of the match is Jazz Bell. Jazz Bell, the York City Knights forward, picking up that award then this afternoon, and I think probably deserved, as the ball comes bobbling out of the arms of Paige Travis, and York have possession again from that knock-on. The Knights players applauding, and that could be huge for the Knights. Yeah, absolutely. Great defence again from Grace Field. I think she was well up there with my decision for player of the match. Between her and Jazz Bell, they've been phenomenal, but Grace has put her body all over the shop today, and a great tackle from behind, which has made that error from Travis, but unfortunately there from Travis. But York, big raps, they're tapping each other on the back. They want this, and they know what it means. Well, the clock on your screen showing just a couple of seconds as Amy Hardcastle is being led from the pitch away around the back of the posts. Again, not a sight you want to see, but at least she is walking off. Whether that's a recurrence of an earlier injury from this game or not, hopefully we'll find out in due course, but again, hopefully it's nothing too serious. Just looking at the clock on the screen into stoppage time, there's a clock on the scoreboard here as well at the community stadium which says there's 2 minutes 45 seconds. How accurate that is as well, I have no idea, but we've still clearly got a couple of minutes still to be played in this game this afternoon. So Gale then along the line to Dodd for York City Knights, who drives that ball in, still putting pressure on that St Helens try line in these closing stages of the game, with Andrade going forward. Great play there from York City Knights. It's Peach once more with Wood. Wood meets Whitfield. Whitfield makes no mistake. Be interesting to see the stats afterwards, but she's done a phenomenal amount of work in the tackle as well, as Stanley comes in with the drop goal attempt. Third time lucky for Tara Stanley, and look at the celebration. I think York think they've won the grand final here or something, but fair play to Tara Stanley. She's been aiming for that drop goal 3 times now, and York have played simple, they've played composed, and Tara leading that from the back there and finishing off with a drop goal for York. And that, with the remaining moments in this game, must surely just put this one out of reach of St Helens. You still never write off the Saints, though, do you? I think the same applies for the men and the women.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's been a frustrating day for our girls, and you can tell some of them are frustrated from the body language, but we'll regroup, we'll go again. The game's not over. As we said, the clock in the ground says different, and we'll keep going to that 80 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure York will take a lot of confidence from this game, but certainly a lot of positives to be taken for St Helens. Being in this situation is a positive.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think people will probably be talking now, do you think Dec will kick off and start screaming at the girls? Absolutely no way. It's the first real challenge we've had for such a long time, since 2019. Obviously unlucky in 2019, we got knocked out of both cups, and I think now this is what we expect. We don't expect a walkover each week, and we expect Dec is a very honest coach, and yeah, he'll tell some of the girls a few home truths and he'll speak to people one-to-one, but for me, not the result we want. I don't want to see this result either, but the girls have to regroup. We go again. It's been tough. We've had some tough bouncing games, and then coming up against Wigan last week with a big scoreline, it's not what we want. This is the game we want, but yeah, not our day today, but we'll regroup, we'll go again, we'll do video review, and we'll do everything what any squad would do.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in that at all about St Helens. It's one defeat, it's the start of the season, you learn from it and you move on from it, don't you? So anyway, York City Knights in possession on the last of their set. Tara Stanley steps around the flying attempt of Non Williams with the tackle, taken nicely by Partington, who again backs herself to go around the outside. Renouf and Whitehead just do enough and make sure the tackle is completed. Here's Travis.
Two. Move! Now too quick! Hold. Go, two.
Emily Rudge now taking it forward for St Helens. Mottershead, she's at that in half, on from the subs bench. And the countdown starts in the east stand. A long kick is put downfield, which Tara Stanley chases back for York City Knights. And although the clock has gone down, there's the hooter in the end. And the celebrations begin for York City Knights. You're right, Faye, they do look like they've just won the grand final, but what a performance from arguably an understrength York City Knights side with a 13-6 win, the first defeat for St Helens since 2019.
Yeah, absolutely, and don't get me wrong, any side who beats a treble-winning side will react like this, they will cheer like this, and they've been together today as a squad and they've backed each other, but full raps to my side here, the Saints girls, they've worked hard, they've come up against a team who have nothing to lose. It's us with a target on our back, everyone wants to beat our side, and we're going to expect this week in, week out. It's just one loss, it's the start of the WSL, second week in, it's not the end of the world for our girls, but we'll regroup as a side, we'll do video review. As you can see, you just look at the girls, they're disappointed, they're gutted, but York done the simple stuff today. The defence from both teams was phenomenal. The middles, I can't pay them enough credit. They were outstanding today, and I think that changed the game for me, the middles.
I think taking the game as a whole, you've said about the defence. The defence has been the headline for me because both sides were absolutely outstanding, and the strength of some of the hits that we've seen, it's been phenomenal. Yeah,
defence wins games at the end of the day, and for me it's just that one hit what stands out, and that's that Jazz Bell on Vicky Whitfield, and she lifts her and dunks her and hits her to the floor, and you've got two of the best middles there going head to head, and that's the exciting thing. That's what the young kids at home want to see, what the fans want to see, and what the viewers want to see on the Sportsman. But yeah, an outstanding game, a disappointing result for Saints, but equally an outstanding result for York City Knights.
Yeah, and an interesting one as well for the Women's Super League. The first defeat of the season for St Helens. York City Knights are unbeaten after the first two games, still very early in the season, but York City Knights perhaps just sending out a little message with that scoreline.
Yeah, they've nothing to lose, and they got into the Challenge Cup final last year and they done well in that, and Saints blew them off the park in that game, but they've nothing to lose. They've got young kids, and for me, I love seeing a young team come through. I love seeing young potential come through, because you are playing against the best in the Super League, but there's no pressure on you as a young kid. There's no pressure whatsoever. You've just got to show up game by game, and you say that with Gail coming through and Olivia Ward and Holly Dodd, they're the girls you will then see in 3, 4, 5 years time potentially at that top level for England. But yeah, seeing the young girls coming through today for York, it's full raps to their system and the academy, what they've got here.
As you said about young players, I think I saw somebody just go into that huddle there about the York players with a baby. Now that is starting them young, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and a few of them are mums for the York team, equally so are Saints. You've got Shona Hall and Amy Hardcastle, who are mums, and I always say if all them Saints girls decide to have a family at the same time, imagine that generation of players, what would come through. There'd be a Minnie Cunningham, Roach, Hardcastle, Hoyle. It would be an outstanding team. But yeah, that you see young kids coming through, you see young kids in the stands who will be waiting for autographs, and that's pretty special.
And as far as the crowd goes this afternoon, they have been given an absolute treat of Women's Rugby League with this match between York City Knights and St Helens. And they're on their feet in the East Stand as well, applauding the efforts of both sets of players, what they've seen this afternoon. And if we're looking to get more people interested in Women's Rugby League, a spectacle like that has certainly done a job this afternoon, without a doubt. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably not one the viewers or fans expected to see, but like I said before, York had nothing to lose. Saints have got a massive target on the back, and everybody wants to be hitting that target week in, week out. But for me, an outstanding game. Defence wins games, and that's what shows today. I think there was no real big crack in the game or no real big standout. There weren't a 100-metre break, but yeah, both teams were outstanding today. Not many tries in this game, Faye, but everyone thrilling to watch. Yeah, absolutely. And the scoreline being 13-6, you can see there's not many tries, just 3 tries this afternoon. But with the first try here, you've got Zoe Harris, who right foot steps through the defence against Peach, looks for that offload, but backs herself against Stanley with a show and go. Gail with an outstanding cover tackle, which just holds Zoe short from the line. Saints regather there in the attacking as York try to scramble out. You've got Cunningham, who hits it to Tara Jones, a nice cut out pass to Leah Burke, and she finishes nicely in the corner. Again, Jones, a nice cut out pass to Burke, and a nice finish in the corner. Harris with the conversion, which takes that to 6-0. Equally, you've got Sinead Peach with a nice dribble through, and Gracefield finishing it nicely. Gracefield with her hands in the air telling Peach she's ready. An outstanding dribble through. Forward finishes that in field, just right to the side of the post. Stanley with the conversion, and that takes to 6-all. Here you've got Tara Stanley, Gracefield, sorry, she takes it in a charge. Great scramble defence from Saints to hold them out. And then a pass from Peach to Stanley, 2 right foot steps, and she's just too strong for that defensive line. Goes under the middle of the sticks, makes the conversion easy for her, which takes it to 12-6. And then to finish it off, Stanley again with her hands on the ball, aims for that drop goal, slots it nicely over, takes the scoreline to 13-6, and a win for York City Knights. Tara Stanley again, slots it nicely, a 3rd attempt of the day. The attempt what takes it to win for York City Knights, and that's a 13-6 win today. You can see this is a big day for York City Knights to get that win, the first defeat for St Helens in around 20 games, and full credit to York City Knights for that win. They made up. And again, cheering their song, you've got Kelsey Jensel, who missed out today, but outstanding. And we're going to head down now to pitch side with Sharon, as she's with the player of the match. Well, with me is player of the match, Jasmine Bell of York City Knights. And Jazz, what a performance that, what a tough game, full stop that one was.
Yeah, it was so hard, so tough. I think we came into this game knowing that it was going to be a tough game straight off, knowing that we had to give everything. And I have no words in a minute because adrenaline's still going through, and like, yeah, it was just amazing to be a part of that, a part of like women's rugby, so like at that level, like, it's amazing.
We were watching some battles on the field. One that really stood out was yourself and Vicky Whitfield. Neither of you took a backward step.
No, that's what it's about, being in the forward pack, running at each other all day long. I'm sure she enjoyed it just as much as me. Like, if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point playing?
There were great celebration scenes at the end when that final whistle went. The first defeat for St Helens since 2019.
Yeah.
From a York point of view, how do you harness that now moving forward?
Oh, like, massive effort from the girls, but like, it's a long old season. Stay humble. Yeah.
There's a lot of positives to take break though, and I guess you've sent out a bit of a message. You've got Leeds coming up next.
Yeah.
Bit of a point to prove, do you feel, with that one?
Yeah, another tough game that we've just got to stick to what we've done today, and it worked well for us. Our forwards hitting down the middle, and we just need to take that into the next game, yeah.
Jasmine Bell, well played, congratulations.
Thank you.
Being Betfred man of the match.
Alright, cheers, thank you.
Well, with me now, Jodie Cunningham, thank you for joining us this afternoon, the St Helens captain. A tough one to take with it being a defeat, but a lot to take from it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we didn't want to come away from it on the losing side, but I think we'll take so much from that today. We've got a few key players missing, and we probably felt those losses a little bit. And yeah, there's loads to work on. I think fair play to York. I think their completion rate was so much better than ours, and they played really smart. They hit us around the middle. They were really, really tough, and we struggled to handle that in places. But you know, we've got another couple of gears to go yet. We'll learn loads from that, and you know, it's great for the league as well. I mean, I don't know how it looked, but it felt like a really tough, close, exciting game. So you know, it's one hopefully to show that the league's progressing, and we'll learn from that and come back stronger.
It looked a really tough and exciting game as well. I think you hit the nail on the head both on the pitch and off the pitch as well. It's still early days in the season, of course, and a defeat isn't always a bad thing, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, everyone talks about obviously the undefeated run and all that type of things, but at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. All we're bothered about is that when it comes to the big games, that we can pull it together and perform. So, like I say, we'll learn a lot from that. York are a quality side. We didn't come here expecting to win. We knew how physical they'd be, and there's some really tough hits in the middle. You know, there'll be some really sore bodies, I'm sure, tomorrow, probably from both sides. But it's exactly what we need. We'll learn from that, and we'll get stronger.
A couple of your players went off injured. I don't know if you're in a position to say how they are. Amy Hardcastle helped off near the end, being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping Amy should be all right. Like I say, it's really physical, so there's some really sore bodies. Pip Birchall as well. I think hers was a knee, so fingers crossed. I think only time will tell on that one, but hopefully not too many long-term injuries off the back of that, and hopefully we'll get some bodies back in the next few weeks as well.
Bit of a break for St Helens as far as Super League goes, but you've got the international break coming up and an international to come as well, a couple in fact.
Yeah, I think the break will probably do Saints good. Rest, recover, like I say, get some of those bodies back and give the England girls time to focus on that and focus on getting selected. I think it's a really exciting few weeks for the women's game, and then it's not going to be easy when we come back. Another couple of really tough games. I'm really excited to see how York and Leeds get on as well. I'll be watching that intently.
Yeah, some big ones to come on the Sportsman as well. Jodie Cunningham, St Helens captain, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you. So York City Knights with that win this afternoon against St Helens. With me again now is Faye Gaskin, being with us in commentary, and what a spectacle we've seen this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something you want in the women's game. You don't want big scorelines, but full credit to York today. They done the simple stuff right, and they got under the skin of Saints, and we just couldn't get ourselves out of that, and we couldn't get them attacking shape. But yeah, great game today for the women's game.
Moving forward, as Jodie Cunningham alluded to as well, in the bigger picture, that was a great spectacle to see. Both sides will learn from it. Both sides coincidentally playing Leeds next as well. Both of those, that's quite mouthwatering, isn't it, as we stand here?
Yeah, it is, and I was speaking to Jazz Bell then, and she mentioned, like, if every game in the WSL can be like that, that will just develop players, and we'll move on and be able to compete with the likes of Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, because playing them games are the ones what get you fitter, faster, stronger, because you're playing at that top level, and I think that's what the game needs now. And yeah, a great spectacle today for Women's Rugby League.
So that brings it really to a conclusion, I think, here at the LNER Community Stadium in York. A win for York City Knights, the first defeat for St Helens since 2019. The Knights have done it by 13 points to 6. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage this afternoon here on The Sportsman. From myself and Faye Gaskin, a very good afternoon.